The untouchable True School Sports Empire proudly presents something the boxing games are missing. Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. Now, this is the official. It is the aftermath of Ryan Garcia versus Oscar Duarte. You know, a lot of people. I just watched the fight for myself, like literally an hour ago. It's my first time watching the fight. I've heard mixed reviews. Some people say it was a great performance. Some people say he was a bum and it wasn't great. So we'll get into all that here. As you guys know, we got to my left, man that really needs no introduction. He's known state to state, city to city. Pops.
Yeah, welcome to True School Sports. Go ahead, brother. Carry it away.
So it's gonna be a good live. We're gonna touch on Ryan Garcia versus Duarte. Some things on the undercard, and also the Michael Conlan Jordan Gill card as well over there in the UK. So do us a favor, make sure you guys smash that like button as you're tuning in. It's gonna be a big fight weekend this weekend. We got Regis Prograis versus Devin Haney on Saturday, as well as down here in South Florida, Garcia Ramirez versus Rafael Espinoza, and I should be at that, but I'll be covering the press conference and weigh-in later on in the week. So very busy week, but as far as Ryan Garcia goes, because I want to touch on Ryan Garcia. Make sure you guys comment as well, because we do want to hear from you guys. As far as Ryan Garcia with Duarte, he's we know Ryan Garcia. Anytime he fights, it's always going to be a lot more eyeballs than usual. He's got a big fan base. We know that Ryan Garcia always has a way of just drawing the emotions of the boxing fans, the boxing public, just because you either love him or you hate him. There really is no middle ground. You either love him because you feel like he's good for the sport and he's good for the growth of the sport, or you don't like him because you feel like he's a pretty boy diva pretender, and that's just what it is. So before we get into my opinions, I know Pops was live. Shout out to Pops for holding it down on the live while I was the Don King card. Pops, you've had a couple of days of process Ryan Garcia versus Duarte. Mm-hmm. You got any extended initial thoughts about?
Yeah, I think first of all that drama between Hopkins and De La Hoya and him, this is all that climax, the whole big thing for the show to be even better than what it is. Garcia had his point of view. I understand. I also understand De La Hoya and Hopkins' point of view. So both, I just think, in my opinion, they both are for one way or another. But that being said, I knew that Garcia was going to go in there. I watched a couple fights from Duarte. Duarte was decent, but flat footing just came forward. They just wasn't going to do it against Garcia.
Absolutely. So as far as my thoughts, because I know a lot of people have been asking me, BT, what do you guys think about the fight? What do you think about the fight? And I really didn't have an opinion because I didn't watch the fight. So I'll give you guys my thoughts now. So I had a chance to watch the fight, and the reality is this. Oscar Duarte is who we thought he was. He was a tough, strong fighter, very durable, very game, but a very limited puncher. He was probably the most tailor-made opponent Golden Boy Promotions could find for him in their stable. And it doesn't matter how hyped up he was by Oscar or people in the media or people who like to bet. It doesn't matter how many knockouts he had. The reality is, if you watched his film before the fight, you knew that he was tailor-made and he was picked for a reason. And watching the fight, go ahead.
Do you think Barbosa, who just signed with Golden Boy?
We're gonna get into that.
Okay.
Let me get off about my thoughts about this fight. Okay. I heard a lot of people's opinions about the fight. Like I was listening to Paulie Malignaggi's video on the fight, and Paulie was very critical of Ryan Garcia. He basically said that Ryan talked all this crap about Shakur Stevenson, but then he fought a guy that's like 50 times worse than Edwin De Los Santos, and he ran from him. But my thing is this. I say it all the time. I've said it many times in the past over the years. I will say it again. Boxing is a results-based business. So even if you thought he moved around a lot, how did the fight end? He stopped him. So mission accomplished. He did what he was supposed to do. But as far as him moving around too much, because there were a lot of boos before he got the knockout, I feel like Duarte's style, it actually allowed Ryan to work on some of what Derek James and him have been doing in the gym. Ryan Garcia, style-wise, when you break down like Ryan Garcia, like who is he in the boxing ring? He's a tall, lanky kid with good reflexes, and he relies so much on his reflexes that it's gotten to the point in his career where he needed to get a fundamental base. He needed to get some technical skills to go with those reflexes. And that's why I feel like he was moving around the ring. He was trying to work on some of the things Derek James showed him, but at the same time, he was also working on being less reliant on his speed and his reflexes and being more of a technical fighter. Duarte cannot punch. He could not punch unless his feet are set. He can't punch on the move. He's a high guard fighter, leaves his right hand down, loves to come forward in that high guard, and he was tailor-made for Ryan. So Ryan took away his only weapon, which is to load up on big punches and be the aggressor on Duarte in the latter part of the fight by moving around. That's why he was moving around. And I think a lot of people, that they were so eager to see him get a knockout that they couldn't understand why he was moving. Duarte is a one-dimensional, flat-footed puncher. He likes to load up. He can't punch in the move. So how do you take that away from him? You stick that jab in his face. You probe with that jab when you can. You keep him at bay. You use the ring, and you get him to come to you. And the thing is, Duarte is not an elite fighter. Duarte, just you could tell by the way he approaches Ryan. He's not, when he tries to cut the ring off, he's not trying to take little side steps to the side or you don't see him moving his torso, trying to slip punches as he comes forward. It's just high guard, straight lines, no thought behind it. So that's why he was moving so much.
Yeah, he depended too much. Duarte depended more on his power when he fought previous opponents, but there's levels to opponents that you fight, and I'll be honest with you, when he faced a fighter like Garcia, and that's not saying a lot about Garcia. Garcia, moved in angles and caused issues for him, but if Garcia would stand there and wanted to stay stationary, he would have got pounded on by Duarte. I'll tell you that right now. So he's smart. He fought a smart fight. I'm glad he's with Derek James, and hopefully they'll teach him more foot movement for Garcia and make him a better fighter than just coming out there using his speed and his power.
All right, I want to take some time to acknowledge some of the comments. Shout out to the 11 of you here. Make sure you leave your comments down below. We got my main man, David Esther. He says, Ryan Garcia is a waste of our time. At least someone like Brandon Lee, for example, isn't getting paid millions. And you know what's funny about that? I've always liked that. I've always wanted to see that fight. I felt like Ryan Garcia versus Brandon Lee would have been a good fight. They're kind of very similar in a sense. Dudes who are propped up at 140. Athletic fighters, overly reliant on reflexes, big punchers. I thought that would have always been a good fight, but I don't know I don't even know what's going on Brandon Lee's career. But last I heard of Brandon Lee, he got a new manager. I think he's with David McWater now, who's Teofimo Lopez's manager. So I get what you're coming. I get where you're coming from.
And you can't get mad. I'll be honest. On Garcia's side, one thing I will say, I know Brandon won't say, but I gotta say, I can't stand the guy, his lawyer, Garcia's lawyer.
Lupe Valencia?
He's always got to put his nose where shit doesn't belong, or his nose and shit that doesn't belong. There was no reason for him to come out and speak in behalf of freaking Garcia with Hopkins and what's his name, Hobson and De La Hoya. Let Garcia say what he had to say as a man, and just left it at that. And that being said, Garcia made $30 million off De La Hoya. How can you go wrong and complain?
It is what it is. People don't see that part. Next Gen Combat Sports was good, champ. He says, what's up, y'all? He says, I actually think Duarte was having a little bit of head movement, and that's why Ryan started missing with his jab and had to get on his bike. Okay. Towards the end of the fight, his head movement declined. That's why he got clipped. Early in the fight, yes. But from round, what was it, 7 to 8, the last 2 rounds, he wasn't really moving his head or his torso that much. That's why Ryan was able to loop that right hand on the guard and then wound up hurting him. But I definitely think that did play a role. But listen, Oscar Duarte was who we thought he was, a very limited fighter. What I can say is, and I want to really speak about this, is the handful of when Oscar Duarte got past that lead, that lead left hand of Ryan, that lanky lead left hand, and he closed that gap, Ryan looked extremely uncomfortable. There were times where he was kind of turning his back. Yeah. The only thing with Oscar is Oscar doesn't have the athleticism or the legs to pivot around him or explode off to the side and change the angle on him. A fighter like let's say like a Teofimo Lopez or a Rolly, someone who's either awkward or athletic, or rough. I feel like they would have a lot of success roughing up Ryan Garcia if they're able to get past that lead, that lead jab of his. So that was probably my biggest red flag, was the fact that Ryan Garcia, I know there was maybe some dirty things from Duarte, but just he was a little too quick to complain for my liking. So I feel like if he fights a Rolly, a Tio, someone like that. I know Rolly came out and said he don't want to fight him because he said Ryan don't deserve to share the ring with me.
Well, But see, but that's the problem with boxing. With boxers, always gotta have entitlements. They'll say what they want. Make the fight happen. You're gonna make money royalties if you get an opportunity. The only thing I will say, if you're gonna offer, if Ryan Garcia is gonna offer his opponent some money, offer him a fair share, not 1.5 million or whatever the case was. I don't know which side offered that. Offer him a fair share, and that's where I have to agree with both fighters. Don't give me a sandwich with no bologna in it.
We'll talk about that later on with Tio, but my thing is this: 1.5 million is a lot more than zero, and he ain't really fighting right now. He ain't fought since June. There's no fight in sight.
You're talking about Garcia?
I'm talking about Teofimo Lopez. He was offered 1.5 million to fight Ryan. Didn't want to fight, but we'll get to that later on.
Yeah.
We'll get to that later on. I wanted to really just focus on Ryan versus Duarte because I didn't really get a chance to speak about it.
Mm-hmm.
The Philly show, or the silly show, as a lot of people were saying. Ryan in the fight was fighting a lot out of the Philly show. This drew a lot of criticism from people. They wanted to know why or how or why the hell is he fighting in the Philly show? And honestly, I have no idea why he was fighting in the Philly show. But I'm gonna tell you this: he better put that Philly show away when he steps up in class. Because I don't know who it was, but when he steps up in class, put that shit away. Put that shit away, because I mean, maybe it might have just been to show Duarte a different look for this specific fight. Maybe that was part of the plan, but that is not gonna work for him.
Well, we know that
the Philly. Listen. The Philly show is a style of fighting. It's a defensive system that takes like years to master. I know people that have been boxing their whole life that never mastered the Philly show. So to just be this deep into your career, 20 fights in, you never really had that time to learn the Philly show, how to block, roll, counter, slip, hold your ground in the pocket, have different types of counters off the Philly show. It's just not something that you want to be trying to be implementing in the middle of your career unless it's something that you've been working in the gym repeatedly for years and years and years.
Yeah.
It's one of them styles where if you master it, like, you're good to go. But if you don't know what you're doing, you're gonna get fucked up badly. I remember when Adrian Broner, when he was fighting these smaller guys, like Vicente Escobedo and Gavin Reese, he was doing that shit right in front of him, and they were punching him and didn't do anything to him. But then he tried doing that shit to Maidana, and Maidana put him on his ass
real quick.
Yeah, so you can't just be aimlessly using the Philly show unless it's something you've really like mastered and honed in on, because again, it's a very, very complex defensive system. So
you're basically saying if the seed wasn't planted from the beginning,
it's just one of those things you shouldn't do.
Yeah,
it's like I don't know what I could compare it to, but it's like it's just one of those things. It's one of those things. If you didn't practice it for years and years and years,
But I will say, just to even try to implement it and maybe to show some type of discipline on Ryan Garcia. I'm saying if it was actually Derek James' idea to teach him to try something different and adjust to the fight to be instead of making a stupid mistake, then I get it. But you just can't go in there and I mean, a kid is not born just walking right away.
Yeah,
you have to crawl before you get there. And the same thing what Brendan is saying. If it wasn't planted in the seed early, then you don't need to be using it. Yeah. And if it doesn't fit your style, why try to change it now?
Absolutely. So, in conclusion, as far as my thoughts on the performance, the positives are from Ryan. I saw a guy that definitely was thinking more. I saw a fighter that wasn't, as overly reliant on his reflexes and his speed as he normally is. So he's definitely trying to like listen to Derek James and work on some things and be more fundamentally sound and find the happy medium between being a technical fighter and being a real good reflex fighter. But at the same time, there's some things that I would just from this fight just burn to the ground and don't break them out again, like the Philly shot. I think the Philly show and the Philly show is going to get him hurt at the higher levels. Like if he tries it against a better fighter who was more athletic. And I think Ryan, I'm not sure if this thing you can change because some fighters just don't like to be on the inside. I was just talking to an amateur fighter down here in South Florida about a tall little Puerto Rican kid at one of the gyms here. I was telling him, I was like, man, when you get in the inside in the pocket, that fighting in there is a mentality, and it's something that you got to have that man. You got to build that mentality. You got to talk yourself through being an inside fighter. And I don't know if Ryan Garcia is going to be someone that can handle that type of pressure. I mean, we saw with Tank, right?
Yeah.
We saw with Tank when the gap gets closed on him and he starts getting touched to that body. It's not something that he likes or it's something he's prepared for.
But I will say if it's on Derek James trying to add different wrinkles to see what he can do with Ryan Garcia to make him a better fighter. I'm not saying they should on game time or on fight night. you try to explore those things, but just to open up his mind, just not just depending on quick reflexes and that. I can see that just for him just trying different things at training, not in actual fight that's going to actually backfire on you.
Absolutely. Before we get into like who Ryan could be, Garcia could be fighting next, because there's a lot of options out there and a lot of possibilities that I wanted to discuss.
So you hit the like button.
Hit the like button, super chat, subscribe, all that good stuff. Let me address a couple of the comments here. Shout out to longtime viewer, my main man, MEasyBX. Always good to see him in the chat. He says the bad thing is that Derek James told Ryan Garcia to stop the Philly show. Does he really listen to his trainers? And you know what?
Holy crap, he did?
I didn't get a chance to watch the actual full fight. I watched the full fight highlights that were on YouTube, so I didn't get a chance to hear the instructions. But if that's the case, that's not a good sign. And I think Ryan Garcia, look, and this is why changing coaches is bad so frequently is bad. It's bad when Ryan Garcia does it, and it's bad when Anthony Joshua does it, because one key thing about being successful at the highest levels of boxing with your coach is you got to have that rapport, that chemistry with them. You got to be able to trust them when you're in the ring and shit gets hot in the oven. You got to be able to trust your coach. And him not listening to Derek James and just doing a Philly show is going to get him hurt.
He hasn't learned by now, him calling the shots, because we can go back again. I'm going to just see if they go back to De La Hoya and Hopkins, and they were just trying to get his career right, and he called that shot to fight Tank when they didn't want to. You have to respect your team, but if you still have that I'm going to do it my way attitude, and you disrespect that, I'll tell you one thing: Derek James is not going to put up with that. He's going to kick his ass right out the fucking gym.
That's it. Or maybe he won't. Maybe,
you think so?
Maybe Derek's like, you know what? These paychecks is kind of good. I get like 2 or 3 more of these. I can retire. I can go buy me a house in Miami, and I can call it a day.
You remember things because you're going to Greece.
You don't go to Greece. Go to Greece, change your phone number, change your address, and never hear from nobody ever again.
Oh, my God.
You know, 2 or 3 more of these Ryan Garcia paychecks to Derek James. You know, you get like 2 or 3 more from AJ, 2 or 3 from Ryan, and he might just be good to go. You may never hear from Derek James again. You know? So it is what it is. Shout out to Caleb. He says, Pops held us down on Saturday, but good to have you back, BT. Listen, it's good to be back. You know, I put out so much content from the Don King card that like once I got finished with it, I was excited for this live tonight. I was amped up. So it's good to be here. Good to see you guys.
Thank you so much.
Dundada says True School Sports. What's up?
God
BT and Pops. What's up, Dundada? Good to see you. 3 coaches in 3 years. Yes, the silly shell. Put it away. Ryan Garcia. He had Eddie Reynoso, Joe Goose, and Derek James. Holy shit. You know, what do you think about that? You got any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think that you can't. It's like I always say, but there was one fighter that I always say do the same thing. He had more coaches than a woman that changes her underwear every day. And I'm not gonna. Yeah, I'm talking about Vargas.
Jesse Vargas.
Yeah, and I'm a firm believer that if you have a good coach in your lane, and he's teaching you, and you really listen to him, and be disciplined, you shut your mouth and you do it. And I don't think that's the problems that Garcia has. That's why he hasn't been a real champion. That's why he hasn't had success, because of what he's doing and what he wants to do.
You know, when I went to the Don King card on Saturday, one fighter that I had the opportunity to meet, and I actually interviewed him. It hasn't come out yet, but I had a great interview with him. I had a great conversation with him. Was Gary Russell Jr. He was at the Don King card. For what reason, I don't know, because he was by himself. It wasn't none of his brothers. There was nobody from Maryland fighting, so I don't know. That's up for interpretation. But I did interview him, and I did speak to him. And he made a good point about something you were just saying about fighters leaving the coaches and whatnot. And he said that he called them Frankenstein fighters.
Does it call them?
He called fighters who go from coach to coach. He called them Frankenstein fighters because you got a little bit of everything, you know. And I mean, there are rare exceptions, like, you know, Devin Haney and Bill. I know Devin's been in a lot of different gyms and worked with different coaches. There are exceptions to the rule, but most of the time, if a fighter is going from coach to coach to coach to coach to coach, it's not a good thing, and it means normally when they step up, they're gonna get destroyed.
And one fighter that I always tell you that, even though sometimes we disagree on, that I give a lot of respect to is Canelo. We can talk about Canelo about anything, but one thing you can't take about him, the trainer and manager that's been with him, I've been there for what, 20 years now. Yeah. And it's like you having a foundation with your kids. If you have a good foundation from the beginning until they grow up and whatever, and you stand on that foundation, you're gonna be successful. If you let them go out and do whatever they want, the same thing. And I think with Ryan, you have to put a leash on him, to be honest. You got to get one. I don't know if Derek is, I'm not going to say he's a yes man, or like you say, he's liking the dollar signs, but I don't think Derek's the type of, what I see, I don't know. He's the type of trainer that's going to sit there and say, okay, whatever you say, like he was doing with all the other trainers. Yeah. You've gone to, when you interviewed him or you've seen him, he's like called his own shots. That's not happening with Derek, I don't think.
Yeah. At the end of the day, look. Before we get into who Ryan could fight next, I'll say it like this: it comes down to Ryan Garcia having that. He has to trust. He has to trust his coach. If he doesn't fully trust Derek James or any coach he has, it's just he's never going to be the best he can be, because I don't give a damn how good of a fighter you are. I don't care if you're Floyd, Pacquiao, Canelo, Roman Gonzalez, Terrence Crawford, Naoya Inoue. All those fighters have to trust the coach. They have to have that trust when because the trainer is supposed to be your extra set of eyes. He's supposed to tell you what you can't see and guide you to victory the best way he sees fit. And you got to be able to trust the wisdom and advice he's giving you. And if you can't, then you're gonna always go into a fight at a disadvantage.
Yeah.
So
I just didn't like what the subscriber said, that James told him not to go use the Philly roll, and he still did it. No.
Yeah, so it is what it is. But nonetheless, guys, I see your comments. I'm gonna get to your comments in a second, but we're gonna go to screen share right quick, because there are some things I want to run through as far as Ryan Garcia's concerned, as far as who he could be fighting next. Some of the things that were said. There was a lot. Now I know you guys can see it. I think we're on screen share. Let me just double check. We're on screen share. Okay, cool. I know you guys can see it. So we know there was a lot made of Oscar De La Hoya and their whole back and forth. And I was telling, I personally thought Ryan was just being emotional, because I know how emotional fighters can be. I have a lot of friends that are fighters. So I know one day things could be great. The next day they could be mad pissed off at the world. So I know how it is. But here's what Oscar said this following the loss, or following the win, I should say, for Ryan Garcia over Duarte. He stated the following, and I quote, "I'm so proud of Ryan Garcia for the way he handled adversity and the power of Oscar Duarte. I always said it was a tough fight, and I was surprised he chose a power puncher. I'm looking forward to putting on the next major event for Ryan Garcia, whoever it is, right?"
Is he still with them?
He's still with them. Now, to my knowledge, I do know I don't know if their lawsuit is still in progress. I'm not sure if they're still in litigation, but
you can't comment on it.
I can't really say. Yeah. Maybe you guys know better than me. But for now, they're gonna be together, and
it's like a husband and wife marriage.
It's a husband and wife type of marriage. It's like most marriages in the USA, where Ryan's balls are in a glass vase, and I'm sure he's got better options out there, and he's mad at the relationship, but they gotta make this work.
Yeah.
Because what did Don King Stacey McKinney always say? Working together works.
Yeah.
So
for the people.
People want to see this.
God bless Don King.
But there's a lot. Listen, Ryan has a lot of options. There's so many things we could talk about. One of the things I wanted to discuss, I can't find where I put it right now, but we're just going over. We're just going over. I'll go over from the tweets I had, right? So one criticism, and shout out to Calix Boxing 2.0, good channel. I do enjoy his insights on boxing. He had this tweet, and he said, Ryan Garcia has yet to fight a true 140-pounder. He's fought twice at the weight, and they were both against lightweights. Obviously, he fought Javier Fortuna, and he fought Oscar Duarte. And in this fight, he fought Duarte at a 143-pound catch weight. So there it is. What do you make of that?
I think.
What do you guys make of that? The chat. What do you guys make of that?
I'll tell you like this. If you're fighting at 140, fight at 140. If you can't make 140, then you shouldn't be there. I'll say it like that. But when I'm getting at it, if Garcia decides to fight this fight at a catch weight, then he's getting what he wants. He's getting everything what he wants. That's not how it works. I'm going to agree with what this guy said. Calix, what is his name? Yeah. God bless him. Calix, so he said. He hasn't fought a true 140. So what's that telling me? You're not disciplined enough, or you're too good to make the weight?
Yeah. I can see where everybody's coming from, but it's not really that uncommon in boxing. Like, first of all, Oscar Duarte is not ranked anywhere in the top 15. So because this fight was not against a top 15 contender, it's a non-title fight, and it's not a fight for any. It's not any sort of eliminator fight. It's not a WBC top 15 or WBA or whatever. So a lot of times on undercards and with fights like this, where there's really nothing at stake, it's just a fight, there do tend to be catch weights. So if the fight was at 143, I know it is bullshit. Honestly, Ryan should be fighting at 40, but that's really on Oscar Duarte's team. He should have better representation to not allow such a thing to happen. And if he accepted it, I hope he got compensated accordingly.
Yeah, and at the same time, I don't really agree whether it's not a title fight or whatever fight.
But that happens all the time. I remember
I know, but I'm gonna a lot of fighters in boxing the majority of them will actually fight a fighters under what their weight class is or whatever the case may be, and fight them for whatever reason. I don't agree with that. If you can't make that weight for 140 and you're fighting let's say 140, you're fighting a 135, 139. Fuck that. You got to fight the fight at that weight class.
That's not how. If you actually go
I
look
won't
at
be a manager.
if you actually go look at fighters' fights, like a lot of times when there's no title on the line, and it's not if you're not fighting a guy in the top 15 and there's no title on the line,
I agree with you.
You can fight at these weights.
I don't like that. No.
That's just how it goes. Yeah. And look, I always say, look, in boxing, you don't get what you want, you get what you negotiate. So if Oscar Duarte didn't want to fight at 143, then his team shouldn't have agreed to fight at 143. True. And they should have, really put their foot down and say, no, we're not going to be treated like this. We're professionals. We expect mine to be professional. And if he don't want to make the weight, then we're not going to fight.
But then again,
so that's on
the flip side of that. That's probably what was Duarte's biggest paycheck. So he's not going to turn. So I'll do whatever I got to do to get that big paycheck.
That's why I always say, man, all money not good money. Sometimes you got to have some morals and principles in this, but nonetheless, money talks.
Bullshit walk.
There you go. Anyway, switching gears, still on Ryan Garcia. I'm gonna get you guys comments in a second. So if you super chat or anything, I'll get to it. I want to run through this Ryan Garcia stuff right now. We know that there was an offer made to Teofimo Lopez to fight Ryan Garcia. The offer reportedly was $1.5 million, and Teofimo Lopez turned it down because he stated that he's the best fighter in the division. He's a guy that brings big corporate sponsorships to the table, such as Bud Light. And he's not lying. Bud Light is a sponsor at Teofimo.
Wines he got.
He got what's the other one? Life Water. Mm-hmm. He's got some big sponsors. I think Beats by Dre. So he does have big corporate sponsorships. But at the same time, it's like, look, man, let's just be real, because you got to really see things for how they are, not how I wish they were. Now, as a boxing fan, I just want Ryan and Teo to fight. And I do think Teofimo, as a fan, should get one more than 1.5. I think his value is higher than that. But if that was what he was offered, and from what I've heard, it was not offered to him by Ryan, it was offered to him by Bob. Mm-hmm. So if that's what Bob is offering you, then what that means is your market value in the eyes of the people who employ you and sign your paychecks, which is Top Rank Incorporated, they don't feel that it supersedes $1.5 million. And look, I'm not trying to put Teofimo Lopez down. He's one of South Florida's very own, even though he don't want to admit it half the time. Mm-hmm. But he could barely sell out the theater at Madison Square Garden. And Pops, you've been to the theater. Is the theater at Madison Square Garden a big venue?
No.
He barely sold that out when he fought George Kambosos. So my thing is, look, in that fight, Ryan Garcia is the A side. He would make more. He would be slated to make more of the money. My thing is this: if Teofimo Lopez, I know right now Teofimo Lopez is going through a big thing because he feels he should be getting paid more. I feel like he should be getting paid more. However, look, boxing does the way he's acting. Boxing don't work like that.
No, listen.
So my thing is this. With Teofimo Lopez, I think listen, you can negotiate. Maybe you can get an extra 0.5 or maybe $1 million at most. Maybe you can get 2.5. Maybe you can get $2 million. But I think if that offer is true and whatnot, I think he should have taken it. And I think because he'd beat Ryan Garcia. I think he'd beat him. And the thing is, with the eyeballs Ryan Garcia brings to the sport, if you knock him the fuck out, you're gonna get a portion of his fan base, and that's gonna shoot you to the moon.
I'm gonna tell you like this.
Look at Tank.
No disrespect to both Lopez's. I like I'm a big fan of them, but you're fucking disillusional. Okay, simple as that. You come here and ask me, you want 10 million? Get the fuck out of here. That's not happening. Okay, you're wasting your prime years whining about not making the money. Why don't you just try to make the freaking money so you have more money in your pocket later on in your prime years and get the bigger fights? When you come out here and now you're demanding all this stuff and you can't even sell a freaking schoolyard size place, then you can't say that. Like, to me, both you and your father, yes, Pop said it, and I love you guys and all, but you motherfuckers are disillusional.
Absolutely. And I'll say this, man. Look, part of the reason, and I've been telling a lot of people this, and I'm going to say it here, and I have no problem saying this to T over his dad, and even though I love him, I only say it out of love. But, like, Teofimo, I know he was born in New York City, right? I know he was born there, but he's not really from there. Teofimo Lopez from Dania Beach. He's from South Florida. He used to box at the Davey Powell. By him being L Brooklyn and trying to be marketed as a New York fighter, that he really kind of like you kind of. I think if Teofimo Lopez from the beginning, if he would have been promoted like in South Florida had some fights here and got some nice knockouts as a prospect, he would have built himself a nice, good fan base up. And then when the Kambosos fight would have came, I think by the time that Kambosos fight would have came, you could have actually did a fight at Marlins Park like they were trying to do. But he didn't have that built-in fan base, and he didn't have it in New York because he's not from there, and he didn't have it in South Florida because he never fought here. And then people here kind of feel some type of way about him saying he's from New York when they know better. So my thing is this, and I think Tio has to accept his position where he's at in the division right now. As far as not in the ring, he's creme to the creme top shelf. But I'm talking business market value wise. Negotiate maybe $1 million more. I think at most you can get 2.5, maybe 2. But
I'll say it like this: when you came to boxing, you weren't shit. When you came to boxing, you couldn't even buy a roll of paper to wipe your ass with. Okay? Now, all of a sudden, you start making your fights and you start doing good and you start doing all this and you get all this marketing. Now, your head's getting bigger and bigger because you got all these sponsorships. Well, if you didn't have boxing in the beginning, you wouldn't have the sponsorships. Stop blowing your head up. Stop saying something. Just the same thing when he lost to freaking Kambosos, his fucking head blew up like this. Him and his dad the whole time talking shit about the whole fight and dragging it to something that it wasn't, and that's why he fucking lost. Shut your mouth. Make your money while you can, because you're gonna regret it later. And my thing is this: I'm only saying this because I want to see Teofimo. I want to see Teofimo Lopez in the big fights. I feel like he's a special talent. I think he brings a lot of value to the sport. Please.
If look, and I'll say this last thing about Tio, and then I'll move on to the next topic. If Teofimo Lopez is so hell bent on getting more money, I know Teofimo Lopez and all these fighters listen to Floyd and what he said. Okay, then. Whatever, go ask Top Rank, what does it cost to buy you out your own contract? Buy yourself out the damn contract. And then you have your own. I know T has his own promoter's license, and he's talked about wanting to do things outside the box. Buy yourself out your contract, all right? And promote your own shows. And then if you feel you can command more than 1.5, then you have the leeway to do it because now you're not boggled down by Top Rank, what the network can offer you.
I'm gonna call it like this. When he was with the Zone, was he with the Zone, Tio and his dad, a fight or something like that? He was in the Zone, right? Eddie Hearns and all were great, right? When the Zone turned him down, they had nowhere to turn. He had nobody to go to. There was no more promoting for him or his dad to get big fights. So where did he go back? He had to go back to see the Godfather, right?
Facts.
Humble yourself. Boxing humbles you, and be humble and do what you got to do.
And look, and hopefully the fight happens at some point. And that's what it is. Before I get to Rolly and Ryan, because I know there are some things to talk about Rolly and Ryan. We did get a super chat, so do want to acknowledge the one super chat we did get. We got my main man Milky Way. He wants to know. Hold on. Listen. When you super chat True School Sports, you're out here making smart investments like Floyd.
Buy, pick up a couple dollars. They upset. See, they upset because I'm able to milk the game. I was smart, kept all my faculties. Made a lot of smart investments. So, when great people like Warren Buffett, Bill Gates, the Waltons, the people that own Walmart, Walgreens, when they're getting money in their 50s, their 60s, their 70s, 80s, and even 90s, it's okay. A young kid like myself from the inner city, from the ghetto, I worked my way to the top. I was able to leave boxing on my own terms and keep all my faculties, kept a lot of my money. So they're upset that I'm able to go out there and continue to make 40 and 50 and 60 million outside the ring. You can't get mad. Listen, this is what God wanted.
Shout out to TBE.
There you have it. It's what God wanted. So Milky Way, shout out for your super chat. He says, do you think that 140 is the weakest division in boxing? Why would 140? Absolutely not. 140 has top talents like Teofimo Lopez, Devin Haney. You got Subriel Matias. Listen, I'm gonna say this right now. No division with Subriel Matias is anywhere close to the weakest division in boxing. And that's only the top. There's other good fighters. So you got guys like Jack Catterall. You got guys like Richard Hitchens who are really good as well. So yeah, no, 140 is a solid weight class. The weakest division in boxing, I'll say it. I've said it one time,
160,
and I'll continue to say it. The weakest division in boxing is hands down the middleweight division. Middleweight division is the most shambolic division in boxing. You got the best guy with half the belts is Johnny Beck, and we don't even know how really good he is yet because he hasn't really fought like no creme de la creme top shelf opponents. And he unified the titles against someone that wasn't that good, and Chenzo Gutierrez. He got his shit pushed in by Denzel Bentley and barely won that fight. Went life and death of like I like Johnny Beck. I'm saying I think he's a good fighter. I think he's good, but I'm saying I don't know if he's someone that I would want to have the best fighter in my weight class. Then you got Charlo, who hasn't defended the belts in what 2 years, some change. Jamal Charlo. You got Lara, who is basically one of the most non-existent champions in boxing, and he's talking about fighting a welterweight, and Danny Garcia for the belt. There's only a handful of middleweights I actually like right now. Like I like Elijah Garcia.
Oh, man.
I think he's great for the division. I think the gentleman that won this Saturday, who I've been posting a lot about. If you guys don't know him, please check out the content about him here. Ian Green, I think he's a fantastic middleweight. There's like 2 or 3 like good middleweights that I like, but as a whole, the division is shambolic. So no, to answer your question in plain English, absolutely not.
Thank you for your support.
140 is definitely nowhere close to the weakest division in boxing. Weakest division in boxing is 160, hands down. Lance Meyer says, "Pops mad about you vaping, BT. What do you do?" I don't do that. I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about. I've never vaped. I've never.
When I'm going on Teofimo,
did a drug in my life. I barely drink, so I don't. I don't know.
You say because I went up on Teofimo.
So
it's all good.
Shout out to Hyro. Hyro says, "I told everyone Oscar Duarte wasn't gonna pull no ups." That is true. Hyro did say from the get go, Oscar Duarte's trash. He said it's
the PBC
himself. But if Oscar Duarte was signed Al Heyman, Hyro would have been gassing him up as the next Mexican legend.
He got a lot of money in
that
PBC company.
QT, shout out to him. He says, not a huge Tio fan, but I like to see him stay away from Ryan, keep winning and being competitive. The money will come. Yeah, I mean, again,
I'm with you on that one.
I agree with that. BT, Teofimo has all the accomplishments and he's getting paid less than everyone. Well, look, nobody told him to badmouth Top Rank and then talk all that shit about Top Rank and do what he felt like he wanted to do with Triller and whatnot. So he's paying for his past sins. That's why in boxing and in life, you should never, ever, you got to be humble. You got to always try to keep your feet on the ground because you never know down the road how that could affect you. And I feel like they're making these offers to him. He's not getting paid what probably should be getting paid because of what happened in the past. So I think he's worth more than 1.5 million. Quite frankly, yes, I do. I do think he brings more value to the table than that. But then again, he's employed by Top Rank Incorporated. They call the shots. All right. So if that's what they offering him, then that's what it is. I can't argue with that. I don't sign the checks. MEZBX brings up a hell of a point. I'll get back to Ryan in a second, but MEZBX brings up a hell of a point. Teofimo's pops. I like Junior. Pat Mahoney before. Teofimo's pops. Please. Bill Haney said he wanted $20 million to fight. $20 million.
No disrespect. Must be
they could like
$20 million from their country.
I don't even think from Honduras.
Yeah, the currency compared to America. I don't know disrespect. I'm just saying, like, please, you're being very disillusioned with what you do. You and your son. Yeah, there's no way. There's no way. That's not. I mean, it could. It could be down the road. It's not a $20 million fight right now. So that's just what it. That's just what it is. Lance said he's just playing, and he says respect to us, the best boxing duo in the YouTube box. Appreciate you, Lance. Thank you. Thank you. And yeah, I don't vape. In fact, not only do I not vape, been working out like a madman. I've been freaking training like I'm a damn fighter recently. Yeah. So, listen, gotta keep the mind sharp because your boy BT, man. I might take that jump. I probably will. More than likely in the next year or so, I'll become a boxing manager. We never know. You never know what the future may hold. So I can't be vaping and messing up my mind. I may have to guide some young fighters to some world titles and big fights. I may have to show some of these managers how it's really done. Not to be cocky, but I'm saying there's still a lot I gotta learn. But I'm saying I may have to show some people some things. You know what I'm saying? Nonetheless, let's go back to Tio, because there are some more things I want. Not Tio, with Ryan. There are some things I do want to discuss with Ryan. Obviously, we know that Rolly. I think Rolly technically still has the title.
But I know that O'Hara Davies and Ishmael Barroso were supposed to fight for that interim title.
Yeah, somebody mentioned that. Yeah.
But the fight got canceled because I think Davies had a visa issue. So nonetheless, Rolly was talking about Ryan, and he was talking to my boy Sean Tatel, and I did hear the clip. He said this to Sean Tatel. He said, I quote, "I don't think Ryan deserves it. He does not deserve to share a ring with me. Honestly, I don't even want to be a 140-pounder anymore. I want to go to 147. There's a lot of big names at 147. Yeah, and you know what? I'll tell you this. If Rolly goes to 147, maybe he can fight Boots, because anytime someone gets suggested to Boots these days, you know, it doesn't matter if it's Giovanni Santillan, Jin Sasaki, Keith Thurman, Trayshawn Wiggins. All I ever hear from people is, they not beating Boots. They not beating him. Boots don't got to fight nobody because he beats them all. It's like the same thing with Shakur. Shakur don't got to fight nobody because he beats them all. So we don't even need to see the fight because he already beat them all without fighting them, you know? So maybe if maybe Boots could fight him, right? But as far as him and Ryan, right, fighting, that fight would be great for boxing. I think there's a great storyline there with that fight. I think with the sparring, I think Rolly, whether you love him or hate him, he knows how to draw the emotions of people. Him versus Tank is probably one of the most well-promoted pay-per-views in recent memory. And look, call me crazy, I'm not writing him off against Ryan. I think Ryan showed a lot of vulnerability when, not just when Tank fought him and Tank closed the gap, but also when Duarte was able to close the gap on him. So, and one thing about Rolly knows how to be rough. He knows how to be physical. He's athletic. I feel like that could actually wind up being a very hard fight for Ryan. What do you think about Ryan versus Rolly, Pops?
I would have to go along with that. Garcia, he can't just depend on his reflexes and action, like moving around and all that stuff against Rolly. Rolly's very awkward fighter. So first, you're going into a fight. You're going into a fight where you don't, that awkwardness, the way he stands, the way he comes forward, the way he moves, it's going to cause you problems because you're not used to fighting a fighter like that. So for me, and I will also say one thing, I think Rolly has more power. I think he's more stronger, in my opinion. Not knockout-wise.
Physically strong.
Yeah, physically strong. Dan Ryan, and I mean, so anything could happen, but I think that'd be a problem for Ryan. It's the simple fact of his awkwardness. You feel like
maybe he could rough Ryan Garcia, but at the same time?
I mean, because not to take nothing away from Tank, but I mean, Rolly was fighting a great fight until he got hit, got that one punch, he got hit that one time. And I will say the same thing going to Garcia. Garcia's going to go in and try to run it and do his angles and the quickness. That's not going to happen all the time.
Yeah, no, absolutely. As far as apart from Rolly, and this will probably be the last I say about Ryan Garcia before I switch things up when we go to, we're going to talk about Floyd Scofield and him a little bit here in a second. But as far as what are Ryan's next available options, let's run through it. So you got, apart from Tio, now look, I'm going to tell you this. He better stay far, far, far away from Subriel Matias. He don't want that. He don't want that in his life. He don't need that. Listen, if Ryan Garcia were to fight Subriel Matias, all respect to him, because Subriel Matias, after I seen him, he makes everybody quit, but especially that last one, when he made Ergashev quit the way he made him quit, that shit is scary. I don't, no more. All right, Ryan, don't fight Subriel Matias. I know you won't do it because the money won't be enough for you to fight him. But you have that option there right now. The more realistic options, Pops, and I'll pick your brain about this. You know, there was a fight on this undercard that was supposed to happen between O'Hara Davies, who just recently signed a Golden Boy. He's one of the top contenders, I believe, in the WBA. And one of South Florida's very own by way of Venezuela, Ismael Barroso. He was supposed to fight O'Hara Davies. What do you think about Ryan against either one of those two guys?
Are we talking about Barbosa?
No, not Barbosa. Okay. Ismael Barroso, the guy that fought Rolly, the old man.
Okay.
And O'Hara Davies, they're supposed to fight each other. What do you think about those two against Ryan?
I mean, we'd have to go. We have to see the fight. I mean, people could say, O'Hara Davies was very talented fighter from over there, from the UK, and we don't know what he's got. But I mean, anything right now for Ryan would be good. I mean, to see what he's got. But I gotta see him with the big fights. Whoever else they got, I don't care where they put him against. You gotta put him up there with the 140 pounders that are tough to see what he's gonna stand out and iron them out. We gotta get iron out because there's more fighters coming up at 140. It's gonna be like this. So his time has come. He's gotta make it now.
I'll tell you this, man. I would love to see Ryan fight Ismael Barroso before Rolly, because obviously Barroso is a common opponent with Rolly.
Yeah.
And Barroso can punch. And I need to see how Ryan does with a a smarter puncher. Duarte's a puncher, but Duarte is dumb. Like, he's a dumb fighter. He doesn't really have a lot with him. Barroso's experienced. He's southpaw. He can counter punch. He's strong.
Smart.
He's a smarter fighter. I think he's a higher level thinking fighter than a guy like Duarte. So I would like that fight. But obviously, Duarte and O'Hara Davies got a score to settle. O'Hara Davies is a good fighter. A lot of people, he's fought some of the best fighters in the world and came up short. He fought Josh Taylor many years ago, lost to him when they were prospects. Same thing with Catterall. He beat Logan Yoon, who was a good prospect at the time, made him quit boxing and just disappear from the face of the earth. O'Hara Davies has built himself up nicely after a very tough start to his career. He's worked himself up to the top of the rankings. I would like to see him get the opportunity to fight Ryan Garcia. Because look, if Ryan's still a Golden Boy fighter, I'm telling y'all right now, we can sit here and talk about Ryan versus Tio or Ryan versus Rolly till the cows come home. But more than likely, you're getting either Ryan versus O'Hara Davies, Ryan versus Ismael Barroso, or Ryan versus newly signed fighter who Pops just mentioned, Honor Barbosa Jr. Now, Pops, what do you think about Ryan Garcia fighting the former top-ranked fighter, Honor Barbosa Jr.?
I mean,
they're calling him the boogeyman.
Yeah, they've been saying a lot about him, but I mean, right now, I like to see what Barbosa's all about. I mean, they signed him. He got to show me what he got. You know what I mean? They say he's one of the top 135 pounders, or moved up now to 140, right? Yeah. So we'll have to see what he does. But I mean, for me, I just want to see Ryan say he wants a bigger fight, so now he's going to have to take those risks and go get it. Shut your mouth. Don't take this easy, what do you call it, taxi driver fights. Don't take those taxi driver fights and get yourself and get in there where you say you can prove yourself.
No, absolutely not. Shout out to my boy Jairo. Before we put the ball on this Ryan Garcia thing, Pops, there was a lot of people in boxing that thought Oscar Duarte was going to upset Ryan Garcia. They thought there was going to be an upset. But hold on. Johnny Boy didn't think there was going to be upset.
Okay, Johnny.
Here's what he said. Wait, hold on. Here's what he said. Hold on. Listen, a lot of people thought there was going to be an upset. There is no upset.
What the fuck are you talking about? What are you talking about, Basile? Oh, I smell an upset. Go fuck yourself. Go fuck yourself.
The news, funny news.
There you have it.
Yeah,
there you have it.
So look, follow him, guys. Crazy.
That's gonna be the last we say about Ryan Garcia.
Yeah.
Look, there's some good fights out there for him. We'll see what happens. Let's go through a couple comments before we get to Floyd Scofield, because Floyd Scofield got another stoppage, and Floyd Scofield, he's making some waves right now in the 135 division. But we got my man Tronavon McJab. Wow, what a name. Whatever happened to Brandon Lee? Brandon Lee, I don't know what happened to him. The last I heard about him was maybe like a month ago. He got a new manager, which is David McWater, who's like a very influential manager in boxing. He's like managed Teofimo Lopez and a couple other guys. So we'll see what happens. He's kind of like Jerron Ennis. I know they're like best friends, and they're both managed by Cameron Duncan. They got all these fights. They ranked high in the rankings, but they're not really fighting. They're not getting those fights to really put them over and show the world what they can do. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes with him. I like Brandon Lee. I think he's a good, entertaining fighter. I don't think he'll be a champion, though. BT, like Johnny Beck, have we seen Matias in with anyone elite? He's fought some good fighters. I mean, elite, no. He hasn't fought anybody with like the name value to where you could say they're elite, but he fought some like live, like I'm talking about hard, high risk, low reward guys. Guys like, I know people are gonna say he's a bum and laugh at me, but Ergashev, Dadishev, Bakhtiar Jukumbayev, Petros Anian, like fighters that the champions aren't exactly running to fight. Guys that are, really, high level, professional fighters. And guys with a lot to gain and nothing to lose if they lose to Matias. And so he's ran through all of them. Matias, look, with Matias, someone's just gonna need to have the balls in this climate in boxing today where nobody wants to move and make the big fights happen until it's 1,000% convenient for them. Someone's gonna have some balls and act like a fighter and try to fight for the belt against them. Like, and I'm talking about the guys like Ryan and Devin. Like, for example, Devin, right? Devin hasn't even fought pro grade at 40, and he's already talking about going up to 47. Now, from a managerial standpoint, it makes a lot of sense because, again, the welterweight division is fragmented. It's a very, all over the place weight class. Devin could move and get an immediate title shot against a beatable welterweight in Mario Barrios. And he'd have the chance to become a potential, if he beats Prograis, of course, 3-division champion. So I get all that. But, like, we need to start demanding more from some of these younger guys because, I mean, some of these guys haven't even had 2 world title defenses like David Benavidez and Shakur, and we're over here calling them Hall of Famers. And it's like, nah, no, guys, stop hyping these guys up because they talk a lot on social media. Their accomplishments have not matched the hype. So to answer your question, no, Matias has not fought anybody, quote unquote, elite, but he's fought a lot of guys that nobody's exactly running to fight.
I'll tell you what, one person that I'm starting to believe that he's really afraid of Matias, and I'm a big fan of his fighting this weekend, is Prograis.
Yeah.
Anytime he talks about he wants to make all these fights and everything, all these fighters and everything, I respect more Haney going into this fight because it's his first time at 140, and he's actually taking a bigger fight about Prograis. And you can ask for any name, or he'll talk about any name, but he never talks about Matias.
Khaled said Matias fought 5. Yeah, he did. 5 undefeated fighters in a row.
Mm-hmm.
Just been taken out. Again, another one. Hedemias Ponce. Forgot about him.
Oh, man.
Tough guy.
Yeah.
Not a lot of guys wanted to fight Hedemias Ponce. And I guarantee you, even after what Matias did to him, they still won't fight Hedemias Ponce. Like, so it is what it is. Matias does have one of the best resumes at 40.
But is he a money-making fighter? That's the question.
Not yet. And the reason Matias isn't a money-making fighter is because PBC doesn't know how to promote Puerto Ricans. That's just the truth.
Right.
Why has Matias not fought in in New York or Philadelphia or the island or Central Florida or even down here in Miami where there's a lot of Puerto Ricans?
Mm-hmm.
He's never headlined in any of these places.
Yeah.
And he's the best. He's the only Puerto Rican fighter at the championship level who I feel is, top grade, must-see TV every time he fights. Like, Matias is one of the only Puerto Rican fighters at the championship level where they don't have to tell me how good he is. Like, I watch him and I know it. Mm-hmm. Now when I watch Xander and Berlanga, you gotta tell me, you gotta market that to me. Because I got, the jury's still kind of out. But you don't gotta you don't even gotta tell me when it comes to Matias. He's doing his damn thing. Yeah. So it is what it is there. What's crazy? Kevin Sajo, I'm not gonna sit here and act like I know a lot about him, but I've been seeing his name everywhere. So I gotta check him out soon. Real soon. And my man QT says PBC doesn't know how to promote any fighter that they can't market as a celebrity outside. That's true. That's 1,000% true.
Wow.
Don't blame PBC. Top Rank doesn't even go to Puerto Rico. Top Rank built Felix Trinidad, Jairo. Until PBC can build a Puerto Rican fighter as big as Felix Tito Trinidad, you shut your mouth about Al Heyman. fuck PBC. How about that, Jairo? But yes. Okay. So look, that's enough of Matias, right? Because we're already at almost damn near an hour. Make sure you guys smash that like button. Take the time to subscribe. Super chat. We here, the untouchable True School Sports Empire. Listen, man. Floyd Scofield made a lot of noise this weekend. He's obviously a guy that's making a lot of noise. I think he's probably one of the most exciting lightweights in the world today. Very big for the weight class. I had a chance to interview Lydell Rhodes, who fought him his last fight. Lydell Rhodes fought on the Don King card this week. And he said one thing about Floyd Scofield is he's sizable. The size of his calves, his back. He's a big guy for the weight class. Very explosive. And he got a stoppage victory. And Regis Prograis, we know Regis Prograis' name is bubbling right now, but Regis Prograis gave him the cosign. He said, this little dude, Floyd Scofield, is good. He might be the best prospect out right now.
Wow. That's a lot. That's been a lot.
What do you think?
I like
about that. What do you think about that statement? And what do you think overall about Floyd Scofield's performance and just where he's going with his career?
I really like. I was watching a lot of his fights this past week, and boy, for me especially, my memory. But you have to appreciate what this guy's doing, how he's doing it. I interviewed that time we had with his dad, and they were a little crazy. But let me tell you something. This guy's no joke. This guy's got power. So power, speed. He'll get you on the ropes. He'll get you on the corners. He'll get you anywhere. He's coming to put a new face in you, to put a hole through a wall. And I like him. I like his confidence. And now I'm actually going to say that from this last fight and the last couple he's had, you can see him blooming to being that person that he was supposed to be. When he first time I seen, he really did impress me a lot. His dad was talking this and that, but now when I see him and what I've seen in his fights, that guy is growing into his own. He's going to be a problem in his weight class, and that's just me saying it. It's fast, quick, power, you name it, he's got it.
Absolutely. Yeah, a lot of you guys correct me saying, BT, a lot of Trinidad wasn't with Don King. And you're right, or wasn't with Bob Arum. You're right. He wasn't with Bob Arum. He was with Don King. So you're right about that. But many of his biggest fights were on what? Top rank. So that's my point.
Yeah.
That's my point. Yeah, maybe they didn't build him up, but some of the biggest parts of his career involved Bob Arum. Big hope. What's the biggest fight Trinidad was ever in? Trinidad versus who? De La Hoya. Who's De La Hoya promoted by? Bob Arum. All right, case closed. No, but I get what you guys are saying, but this ain't about Matias anymore.
No,
we done moved on from Matias. Thank you for the correction. I was wrong. You guys are right. As far as Floyd Scofield, Jake Paul, he's got a fighter. He's got a fighter. By the way, I've never talked about this fighter on videos. This might be my first time talking about him on video. It's kind of crazy because I literally went to his card in Orlando 3 days after I got home from Japan to South Florida, which is, Jake Paul's got Ashton Silva. Ashton Silva. I don't know how to say his name. You guys can tell me how to pronounce his name. But H2O, the black kid that fights with Jake Paul. Same weight class, good fighter, big amateur background. It's the guy that Jake Paul really has a real backing behind. He said this after the fight with Floyd. He said, Oscar, let's set up H2O versus Floyd for 2024 and MVP's top prospect versus Golden Boy's top prospect.
Wow.
And now, you know what? I like that.
Yeah.
We can do it in Los Angeles, the home of H2O and Golden Boy. So as far as that fight's concerned,
they're both to win.
I like that fight. Ashton Sil versus Floyd Scofield, good fight. And I was there when Ashton Sil fought back in May. It was cool. I didn't see anything like out of this world. I think he's a good boxer. He got good speed, good athleticism, things like that. But not the biggest puncher. I really didn't see anything crazy with him, but he is a good fighter. He is undefeated. They are on the same level. And look, I know Floyd can call out Keyshawn Davis and Shakur and all these guys to the cows come home. No, he's not gonna get them fights. Yeah, so we can't be unrealistic, right? So if you got a guy from one of the top promotional companies in boxing with a lot of influence in boxing right now, Jake Paul, who's got a fighter who's undefeated, who's highly touted amateur, just like he was. Match him up. Let's start finding out who's who. Because I'll tell you this: if Floyd Scofield is as good as Oscar De La Hoya thinks he is, he should be beating H2O. I watched H2O fight. If they fight, I would pick Floyd to beat H2O. H2O, I think, will have maybe a couple rounds early, maybe boxing him. But the minute he get hit by Floyd Scofield, he's gonna have to sit there and fight. And I don't know if he's built to sit there and fight. I don't know if many lightweights are built to sit there and fight with Floyd Scofield because he's big. I think if he was one of these guys that was at 40, he'd be punching through things at 40. He's a big guy, big kid for the weight. Ashton's good. Ashton's all right, but I don't really see when I seen him fight, I was there and I just couldn't see what the hooting and hollering was about. But again, that's Jake Paul's guy. If Jake Paul and the fine folks at MVP Promotions, who, by the way, they've done some good things for boxing, if they feel confident enough to put Floyd Scofield in there with or Ashton Silva with Floyd Scofield, then I said make it happen. I'm a big proponent in boxing of young fighters with O's who are highly touted fighting each other. You want to know why? Because then I don't got to wait for them to be 17-0, 16-0 to be fighting each other.
I think Jake Paul is one of the easiest promoters to make fights. He's willing to do what's better for the boxing and for his pocket. So why not? You know what I mean? That's great. Yeah. My man Next Gen, he wants to know is his 90% is H2O's record padded? I don't know what's resume like that. I'm always going off the one time I seen him fight, which was back in May. I didn't really see no crazy power. So based on what I saw, I'll have to say yeah. He has to be padded because I was sitting maybe 15 to 20 feet from the ring, and I heard them punches and I saw it, and I've been around boxing long enough to know I'm not saying he's feather fisted because he's not that, but I don't think he has world class power. Maybe he has respectable power to keep guys off him, but not world class power. Floyd has world-class power and world-class athleticism. And the thing about Floyd Scofield is he's able to throw punches from weird angles and shift. There's some things he does really, really well. And he's actually someone that I should be talking about more because, these guys like Shakur and Keyshawn and whatnot, he's one of the only, I would say him and Abdullah Mason are the two
135-pound fighters that when I actually watch them fight, I get excited because I know there's a very little small percentage chance that I'm going to get a boring fight or a fight where they're fighting someone that's like 7 levels below them and they just go the distance. Like that's one thing that pisses me off. Like you don't got to get knockouts all the time, but I feel like if you're 7 levels better than someone like some of these fights, like when Shakur was multiple levels better than Jeremiah Nakatilia, and he barely got touched and circled the ring for 12 rounds. I don't want to see that shit. Now, if it's someone that's kind of on your level, like a championship caliber fighter, then okay, I get all that. But I like that fight a lot. I think that would actually be the fight I want to see the most. And if Jake Paul's calling for it, then I say,
I like Jake Paul. That's why I think he's one of the easiest promoters to make fights with. So why not? Let's get it on.
Next Gen says, well, hold up now, BT. We know Floyd's record is padded, and he fights really small guys. I don't know if his power is really world class at 135. At 135, his power. Maybe it's not quite world class, but it's better. All I'm saying is if he fights Ashton Sil and they get into an exchange, Floyd Scofield is not losing exchanges to H2O. That's really what I'm trying to say.
On your own opinion,
like in my opinion, from what I've seen from both of them fighting, obviously H2O can still grow. He can still mature, and I would expect that to happen in the next year or so. But right now, based on what I've seen, I would have to say if they were to get into an exchange, H2O and Kid Austin, I would lean towards Floyd. I just think he's a better fighter. That's all. But listen,
respect both fighters.
I'm not unlike a lot of Jerron Ennis and Shakur Stevenson fans and Canelo fans. I'm not one of these people that says, you know what, nah. Floyd beat them all. Floyd beat them all. He too dangerous. Now he don't need to fight him much waste of time. I'm not like that. See, I'm a boxing fan. I actually want to see the fight. So if I'm wrong, cool. If I'm right, cool. But I would like to see the fight.
Right, because my son tells me, "His dad, stop."
I tell him the same thing.
I'm like, "Oh, it's better." He says, "No. How many fights you watch, and because you didn't watch, you didn't know the outcome from a lower level guy. So you really don't know what's going to happen. Yeah, we know who the favorite is, but we don't know. That's why we got to see the fights.
That's why I got to see the fights. So that's what it is. And then see, is the last thing Scofield? Yeah. So last thing concerning Kid Austin, right now. Obviously, the H2O fight, I think, on paper is the most attractive fight for me as a fan. But they got a little in-house fight. Jojo Diaz and Floyd is a fight that's been discussed, and they were going back and forth on Twitter. Jojo said, look, man, y'all quit playing with me like I ain't a 2012 Olympian, world champion. This boxing is easy for me. I've been doing it for years. 2024, I'm going to show the world I'm one of the best. See you soon, Kid Austin.
How old is he? Diaz? I think he's a little old. He's getting older. I mean, he's a lot older than Kid Austin. I'll tell you that.
No, he's still a good. He's still a good fighter.
He can bring it in.
Recently, I know with him the last year or so, he beat Jerry Perez. Jerry Perez is a good fighter. Jerry Perez beat some good guys. Jerry Perez he beat my friend Eric Francis Jr. So Jojo beat him when a lot of people didn't think that was gonna happen. He was going to beat Jerry Perez. So he's still a good fighter. Is he still like a world class top shelf fighter? I really don't think he is, but this would be a good fight for Floyd because Jojo Diaz is a recognized name, as he eloquently stated, former Olympian, champion. Floyd responded by saying, "You are one of the best. That's why I'm asking to share the ring with you. You are an amazing durable boxer. No disrespect to you. I'm just supporting my family." And then in another tweet, Jojo Diaz said, "Shut your ass up, Floyd. I'm ready to make it happen. You getting spoon-fed. Golden Boy, RG, Oscar, let's make it happen in January." And then Floyd said, "Yeah, let's make it happen. I will stop you in 4 rounds." Woo! So Pops and to the chat, to the fine folks watching, what do y'all make of Floyd versus Floyd Scofield versus Jojo Diaz? What y'all think?
I'm gonna say, like I just told you a few minutes ago, Jojo Diaz has had his time. He's fought a lot. I've been a good competitive fight, but to me, the time belongs to Floyd Scofield over Jojo. And no respect to him, he's had a lot of fights, good resumes, but I don't think that's going to be enough to beat Floyd Scofield.
So yeah, look,
timing is everything.
Look, man, I think it's time for Floyd to get some sort of stuff. So whether it's HTO, Ashton, or Jojo Diaz, I'm all for it, man. Like, obviously, I think Floyd still has some development to be had. But listen.
And if it comes to the question where you said that Scofield is not fighting at the top levels, well, then we fight one of these guys and knock some shit out. What are you going to say then?
Yeah. My man Next Gen says he would like Linares in Floyd Scofield if Linares. Yeah, that would have been cool. But I'm to the point where it's like I like Linares and he's retired. He's retired now, but he's been knocked out so many times. I'm not disrespecting him. I think he's an amazing boxer. I really respect the toughness he showed to take knockout losses and become champion multiple times over. Not a lot of guys can have the career he had. A lot of fighters would love to have Floyd Linares' career, but he probably has the worst chin in the last 20 years. Worse than Amir Khan. Worse.
Wow.
Worse. Like,
yeah.
Because he's been knocked out in every weight class. He's been knocked out as the favorite. He's been knocked out as the underdog.
I mean, like I said,
to me, that fight, I mean, he probably would have got some decent experience, but I wouldn't have. As a fan, I wouldn't have liked that.
And after
fight.
the last fight from Linares, I think it's time for your time is up. Time is up.
Yeah.
Don't change your health.
So big things ahead for the man Floyd Scofield. But shout out to everyone here. Make sure you smash that like button. We still got like an hour to go. About an hour to go here on True School. So still some things to run through. So get your thoughts down below. Smash the like button. Subscribe. My man, super chat. My man Brandon says he thinks Floyd is better than Ashton. Yeah, I absolutely. Look, I keep forgetting, and I didn't realize till my man Next Gen pointed it out to me that Ashton is only 19 years old. So I gotta take that into account. Some guys, they do develop later on. They mature, they get better,
right.
They punch harder. So who he was when I saw him in May might not be him might not be who I see in the middle of next year.
Right.
I've seen it happen so many times. I watch a fighter 1 year, trash, not that good, subpar. Then they go through a little bit of physical maturation, get some good sparring, start being a more professional outside the ring, and
what weight class
get better.
Castro fight?
Mark Castro's a 35-pounder. Same weight class.
That guy showed me how he matured from the last fight scene. I said, "Oh my God!" Before I thought.
What about this? We'll throw this one out there before we move on to, Michael Collin and Jordan Gill and the British card. I know David Esther's been talking about Sam Noakes, which I didn't watch Sam Noakes, so you can educate me on Sam Noakes. But as far as Floyd Scofield and Mark Castro, what about that fight?
But you were talking about maturity, and boy, did we see a bit. I've seen a big maturity in Mark Castro in his last fight. I'm like, oh my God, where did this come from? This guy, to me, never showed me this. You could tell his skills got a lot better, and that'd be a good fight. That'd be a good fight. I mean, I never seen that from Castro, but that'd be whoever he fights. I think he's improved a lot. And like you say, boxers have a time when they mature, and like the gentleman or scriber said that one of the guys is 19 years old, so we gotta give him some time to develop. So I totally agree with that. Yeah,
it really all depends. It really all depends on, because I know Mark Castro's manager is Keith Connolly, who's one of the best managers in boxing. He manages Edgar Berlanga, he manages Philip Hergovich now, and now he's also Mark Castro's. He's been Mark Castro's manager. I think Mark Castro versus Floyd Scofield will be a really good fight. I think Mark Castro has that high guard style, likes to fight in a lot of angles. Floyd kind of fights the way too. He's physically strong too. That could be a real explosive fight.
They both have come to the level where they're actually maturing as fighters.
I could be wrong though. Mark Castro might not be at 30. He might be a 30-pounder.
You think so?
He might be a 30-pounder. I could be wrong about that. He might actually be a 30-pounder. I feel like he might be a 30-pounder. Let me fact check myself.
He's big for 130, man.
Is he a 30-pounder?
Because I'll tell you right now, I just seen the big maturity from last fight. So where did this come from this guy? And like Brendan says, you have, and like the subscribers say, you have to let them mature, let them grow up, and see what they are, and let them grow up to who they want to be at. And you can't really be hard on them until you see how they develop. And I think Mark Castro, from what I've seen him in the last fight, how he developed, I think is great. Floyd, from the last time I seen him fight, a couple fights before that. So Mark Castro is in fact a 30-pounder, but funny enough, I knew I wasn't tripping because he's a 30-pounder, but he's fought at lightweight before early in his career. But funny enough, his last fight in April was against the same guy that Floyd Scofield just stopped this weekend. Wow! So they have a common opponent. He stopped Ricardo Lopez Torres, and I believe Floyd stopped Ricardo Lopez Torres as well. So look, they got a common opponent. Yeah, I think the styles have meshed well. That's probably not realistic, but I would like that fight. I know Keith. Listen, I know Keith Connolly's gonna want to go to 130. Okay, but I'm not speaking as a man. I'm not speaking as BT the box manager, because I'm gonna be the box manager. But BT the boxing fan would like to see Mark Castro versus Floyd Scofield. That's a good fight, and I think in Texas that fight does big business. Does it?
Floyd is from Austin, Texas.
Oh yeah,
and Mark Castro is Mexican, and he's fought in Texas before. So I think that fight could do good numbers. I think that fight could, you don't put it at a big venue, but you can find a smaller venue, put it somewhere like with like
It's gonna sell.
1,000, 2,000 seats. It'll sell well. I think it would sell well. So just throwing it out there.
The location stuff for sure.
Just throwing it out there. So yeah, there you have it there. But listen, switching gears, let me take some time to acknowledge some people. Man, shout out to my guy, Robert Sanchez, out there in Austin, Texas. Much love.
Yeah.
My guy out there in Austin. He says, fuck it. Put De Los Santos versus Kid Austin. I like that fight.
Okay.
Edwin, listen, I think Edwin might be stepping ahead too much right now. But you know what? Listen, man. Sometimes in boxing, you got to sink or swim.
That's it.
And sometimes when you put him to pressure, a pressure can make a diamond. I think if Kid Austin was able to fight like a De Los Santos, and let's say he beat the brakes off De Los Santos, which would be very difficult because, listen, I know the fight with Shakur was very boring, wasn't exciting, but Edwin De Los Santos is hard guy to beat. He can box, southpaw, explosive, and don't get it twisted. He was outboxing Shakur in some of them rounds. So anybody who can box round for round with Shakur Stevenson, can punch, he's a southpaw, that's a guy to be taken very seriously. So
idea.
I would agree with you. It's a good idea.
Thank you,
man. Hopefully some of these promoters and these managers listen to you. Anyway, want to switch some gears right now to the British card, right? Because there was a British card this weekend. We had Mick Collin, in his 21st pro fight this weekend, trying to get his career back on track, and he took on Jordan Gill. Now, as you guys can see, it didn't work out so well for brother Mick against Jordan Gill. He got stopped in the 7th round.
Was Mick Collin?
Mike Collin, yeah, Mick Collin,
okay.
Yeah, he got stopped in the 7th round. It's the 3rd time he's been stopped in his last 5 fights. And this really all began with Lee Wood. Lee Wood knocked him into the 8th dimension,
give him that
out the ring.
Yeah, the British.
And then he won 2 little stay busy fights two little stay busy fights. But then he stepped up and fought Venado. Venado destroyed him.
Right.
And then now he fought Jordan Gill. And Jordan Gill's a good fighter. I think a lot of people, they definitely sleep on Jordan Gill. Jordan Gill, he had that really exciting fight a couple years ago with Kareem Geffrey. He was losing that fight, and it was a war. And he was down on the cards, and he knocked Kareem Geffrey out for the European Championship. And listen, look at his resume. Look at Jordan Gill's resume. Reese Baladi, he beat Cesar Rocky Juarez, who's a tough veteran. Yeah. Kareem Geffrey, but then it all came to a head when he lost to Kiko Martinez, right? So both these men had been knocked out recently. Jordan Gill by Kiko Martinez, Mick Collin by everyone at Warlow, basically, that he's fought the last year or so. So the winner of this fight could ill afford to lose. And I got to give this brother right here on the screen a lot of credit. Jordan Gill, he I know that when he fought Kiko, there were
Kiko beat him too?
Kiko stopped him in 4 rounds, beat the shit out of him.
Holy crap. He
didn't look as strong as he did a couple fights before that. A lot of people said he might have been weight training. Look, he lost the fight. But in this fight, he looked like a whole different fighter. I mean, bigger, stronger, fresher at the weight. Was a real problem.
Wasn't he a champion before?
No, not a world champion, European champion.
Yeah, European champion when what's his name? Go keep talking about that.
But like he looked
the guy from Leeds. Did he want to get the belt from him or something? Or I'm kind of confused.
From Lee Wood?
Not Lee Wood.
Warrington?
Yeah.
He wanted to fight him. They never fought.
Okay.
He was European champion. But now Jordan Gill, I think, look, this fight showed me. I know Collins' punch resistance isn't what it used to be, but this fight showed me that Jordan Gill is going to be a problem at 130 because one thing about it, I know even when he fought Kareem Geffrey a couple years ago, and I watched that fight, that was a fight where he was losing, and it was close, but he was losing.
Right.
And he's real stubborn. Like, he just keeps coming. And he's probably one of the – he kind of reminds me of Lee Wood in the sense that, like, he could be losing and he could be down on the cards, but he just has this stubbornness about him where he's not going to go away. And as far as Mick Collin, we'll get back to Jordan Gill in a second, but as far as Mick Collin, look, I know he was down here in South Florida. This is his first fight with Pedro Diaz.
Oh, wow.
I thought he tried to box a bit more, and it was working. Like, I thought he was winning the fight. Like, I thought he boxed very, very well. But ultimately, he couldn't handle the physicality of a Jordan Gill at this weight. And he got dropped early in the fight, got broken down and stopped in the 7th round. And look, I think Collin's a good fighter. He's seen better days. He's a former world champion. But my thing is this with him, with Mick Collin. Once your chin is like once you get stopped as much as he's been getting stopped, I mean, you could outbox someone all you want. You get hit the wrong way one time, and you're gonna be in some trouble. So look, again, who am I to tell fighters who put their life on the line and put a lifetime into the sport, especially someone like Colin, who's been an Olympian, won medals, been champion, sold out arenas, New York and Ireland. He's not top rank no more.
Oh no,
no.
Oh.
You know what? They
dropped him.
Yeah, they actually amicably. It was actually one of the few times. No. When Mick Collin and Bob Arum, when Mick Collin and Bob Arum parted ways, it was one of the few times in boxing where a fighter and promoter, they actually just like they left each other.
Okay.
There was no hatred. There was no bad blood. Okay, there was one little appreciation post from both. Niggas moved on. Okay. It wasn't drama. Okay. I know we're not used to that in boxing, maturity, but
that's cool.
Look, Collin is a hell of a fighter. I respect what he's done in the sport. If he continues to compete at 130, he can, and I think he can maybe beat some lesser guys. But if he wants to be at the top, I really just don't see it because his durability hasn't been the same since he lost to Lee Wood. And look, I think if he hangs it up, I think he can be proud of what he accomplished in the sport. He was champion. He sold out arenas. A lot of guys love to have his career, so there's no hate on him. I thought he boxed a good fight, an intelligent fight. I thought he prepared well. I know Pedro Diaz, and I see how Pedro Diaz trains fighters in the gym. Yeah. I know Pedro didn't cut no corners with him. He honestly, knowing how Pedro trains, he might have been overtrained. We don't even know because Pedro be working them dudes like crazy in the gym. So look, shout out to Mick Collin, hell of a fighter. All the respect to both of them, and it is what it is. But as far as Jordan Gill, because that's really to me the story of the fight. He won the fight. This is a guy that has been through a lot in his life. Been through a lot in his life, and I'll get into that in a second. But when you look at it, right now, his current standing in the 130 division, he's not. No. This is his box track. He's not ranked anywhere at 130. I'm sure he will be after this fight. Yeah. But on box track, he's 24. As you guys see, he's 24 is right there. So I was looking at maybe some names he could fight, seeing what makes sense, because that's what I do. If a guy's not ranked in the top 15. And I use the box track rankings to kind of get a gauge of maybe who could be in a potential opponent, right? So when we look at some of the names around Jordan Gill, I'm seeing some real interesting names. Yeah. Look, we know the UK versus Mexico is a rivalry that people like to poke fun at because the Mexicans normally beat the Brits. Yeah. But I think Jordan Gill versus Oscar Valdez would be an amazing crossroads fight. Valdez just lost to Navarrete. He lost to Shakur.
Way down there.
Who? Valdez? Yeah.
Yeah, that guy's
he lost to Shakur, he lost to Navarrete. Gil just got a big win against Collin. That's a good crossroads fight. Yeah. I would like that fight. If Gil could win that fight, that's the gateway towards like the massive fights that he wants. And it's a big name, and it will get him more popularity, right? Because I like Jordan Gill. I think Jordan Gill is a fighter. Every time I've seen him fight maybe 3 times. Every time I've seen him fight, I've never seen. He's one of the few fighters like from the UK. I know Pops like to say that a lot of the British fighters like to fence and whatnot. But he's one of them few British fighters who every time he come to fight you, which is, what we like to see. So I think him versus Valdez would be a good fight. You got Thomas Gunnerman Matisse. Mm-hmm. He's in a 4 or 5 fight win streak. Good fighter. I don't think the money will be right for that. Money be a lot for that fight, but he's a big guy for the weight. Yeah. He's had some good wins. He's had 4 or 5 wins since he lost to Chucho Melendez. So that could be a good fight for him.
Jamel Herring still fighting?
Jamel Herring, just fought recently. Former world champion.
Holy crap!
So that look them 3 fights.
Those are names.
Valdez, Thomas Matisse, Jamel Herring.
Those are names.
Those are all names that are recognizable. Those are all guys. 2 of those guys have been world champions. One of those guys has been ranked before in Thomas Matisse. I like them fights. Obviously, you got guys like Garcia and Cortez who are a little bit higher, but those 3 fights in particular, I like those 3 fights for Jordan Gill. And as far as Jordan Gill, the reason I'm sitting here talking about him is I was really kind of touched by his post-fight interview. Right. I was touched. Now, I don't know if you heard his post-fight interview. I don't know if you guys in chat heard his post-fight interview, but this is a guy that went through a lot in his life. He pretty much said that after he got knocked out against Kiko Martinez, he went into a big state of depression, which happens to a lot of fighters. He broke up with his wife. He divorced with his wife. On June 30th of this year, apparently he was in a field somewhere and he drank a whole liter of vodka and wanted to kill himself. Right? And I guess somebody came and saved him that day. And he said from that moment forward, it just changed his life. So the exact quote was this. It's what he said. Not many people know what I've been through this year. After the Kiko Martinez loss, I lost touch of myself. I broke up with my wife. On June 30th, I was in a field. I drank a liter of vodka and I was going to kill myself. Somebody came and saved me that day, and I've changed my life. I'm opening my own gym. I've turned my life around this year. And then he also said, they didn't put in the quote here, but he also said in that same interview that anybody who's kind of like stagnant in life and is wondering what's going on in my life, you know, you just worry about today, like get up, do something, and just give your best effort. And I could reconcile with Jordan Gill. You know, I went through some things this year. You know, when I got back from Japan and you know whatnot, some things happened with YouTube and you know people passing away and getting killed that I know. Like I went through it too. So when I heard his interview, it really resonated with me because he was in that dark place. He got out of that dark place, and now you know he's in a better place. You know, and it's a great example that the rain don't last forever. The sun will shine.
I mean, and the thing about it that he's using the sport to actually get him out of whatever darkness he's been through. I mean, we could use that fine example to know nothing bad. I don't mean anything wrong with nobody. You could use that example for Charlo, Jamal Charlo, prime example. He went through a lot of stuff. He got back in the ring. No, we don't be what he did, how he win or whatever. But at least he's dealing with his own thing the same way. When you have a point where you get rid of from your woman or whatever, it's very difficult times.
So it is what it is, man. That's why you gotta be very tactful with the women you pick in your life.
Yeah.
You know, but look, in closing with Jordan Gill, I like Jordan Gill. I think Jordan Gill is a good fighter. I think there's some value for him to add to the 130-pound division.
Yeah.
He looked way better at 30 than he did at 26. I think he's gonna be a very tough out. I don't know if he'll be a world champion, but I do know one thing about Jordan Gill is from when I've seen him fight against Kiko and Kareem Geffrey and now Colin, I've never seen him in a bad fight.
Right.
And he's someone that he's one of the guys in the UK that even though I haven't talked about him a whole lot, when I see his name, I look forward to seeing him fight. And that's always a good thing. So we'll see, man. Now, David says Valdez would kill Jordan Gill. Come on. Valdez hasn't been killing anything. He hasn't killed anything since Bercho. But listen, I like Valdez. Good fighter. World champion. Respect. True Mexican warrior. Never duck no smoke. But Valdez hasn't killed anything. So you can't just say that.
David said he got more power.
That's why it's called a crossroads fight. I don't know if he killed Jordan Gill. I think Jordan might have a chance to actually beat him.
Yeah.
Because if I'll tell you that if Oscar can't counter punch his way to the victory and hurt him, he's gonna get out. I think he'll get outworked in that fight. Yeah. Honestly, if they were to fight right now, as presently, not Valdez that fought for Cho, that guy. I just think Valdez is coming down. It'd be a good crossroads fight. Right. But if not, you know, if he does beat Gill right now, that'd be a good way for Valdez. And that would get Valdez back to you know where he want to be if he wants to continue boxing. So why not there? And then in the last fight, he wouldn't fight Jordan Gill. I don't think so. Listen, there's not enough money in it. I don't even think Jordan's not ranked as of yet. Maybe he will be. But yeah, so we'll see how it goes. But Hyro says that's how I feel about Munguia at 168, and you crap on him, and he's fighting. Fuck Jaime Munguia. Like Jaime Munguia, I'm not disagreeing with you, Hyro. Like Munguia is gonna be stronger at 68. Like I think it's a better weight class for him, and I give him respect because look, he's doing what Demetrius Andrade didn't want to do. You know, he's doing what a lot of guys at 168 don't want to do, which is he's fighting the most underrated 68-pounder in the world. And look, I think Munguia should go out as a favorite, but I'm going for John Ryder. You guys know I'm team John Ryder. That's my favorite, like super middleweight.
Underrated.
He's underrated, you know, and he should. I look at him as a guy that should have been champion. Yep. Best hands down, not even a shadow of a doubt in my mind. You could argue Derevyanchenko, but I think Ryder might be the best fighter Munguia's fought in his career. So what do you think? You think Ryder's the best fighter Munguia's fought? Would you class Ryder over Sergey Derevyanchenko? I know some people probably wouldn't. Would you class Ryder above Sergey Derevyanchenko?
Yes, I like Ryder
over Derevyanchenko.
Derevyanchenko is a talented fighter from the Ukrainian. He's real good and everything. Yeah, he's good too.
Okay.
But I like Ryder. I want Ryder to knock the fuck out.
Listen, I would love for John Ryder to win. Because look, if Munguia wins this fight, which by the way, the fight's in Phoenix, so basically, if John Ryder doesn't bring a fucking gun and shoot this dude in his chest 80 times with him leaking around the ring, if it goes to the car, he's not getting a decision. I'm telling you that right now. Yeah. Because there's all these reports that Munguia and Canelo have been quietly negotiating a fight, and I told you guys if you go back and you watch the video where I was talking about
even Canelo this fight right here.
Listen, before this fight got signed, if you go back and you watched my video when I was talking about Canelo negotiating Munguia fight, I said Munguia is probably going to fight John Ryder next in early first quarter of 2024, which that's what's going to happen. He's going to fight him in January. Because it's a common opponent. If he beats John Ryder, then he's going to progress towards the big fight, which is Canelo in May or whatever. So that's why I keep saying, right? I don't want to touch too much on this because this guy, I
I
don't want to touch too much on this because we talking about Benavidez, but like that's what I'm saying. I heard Benavidez say the other day, yeah, you know, if Canelo want to fight me, if you don't want to fight me, I'll fight Jamal Charlo and eliminate that option, so he has to fight me. Let me tell you something. If you think you're gonna dictate what happens to Canelo and that by beating Charlo he doesn't have another back fight in his pocket, you're greatly mistaken. Listen, Canelo is the king of giving boxing fans fights they never asked for. All right, so don't ever think Canelo does have another fight he can go and take. Everyone from 168 to heavyweight want to fight Canelo.
If Canelo fights Mongear, which he's been telling me for a long time, I never believe him, but it's happening, hopefully, or whatever. I think it's the reality is Benavidez needs to stop waiting in the lunch line for the Canelo lunch and move up to 175 and go up there and do your thing. That's it.
Dundada says, BT, please tell him Ryder is as good as Andrade. I'll tell you this. Overall, career-wise, no. But if we're just talking at 168, yes.
Look what he's done.
Andrade only had 2 fights, 68. The first fight he fought Demond Nicholson didn't look great. And then he fought Benavidez and ran over. So, yes, at 168, I would actually class John Ryder above Demetrius Andrade. Overall, no, I'd class Andrade above Ryder. But 68, John Ryder is better than
But I will give more credit to Ryder because Ryder took the advantage to fight Canelo because
he beat Zach Parker. So it is what it is.
Give respect on
but this, I want to touch on this last fight, and then and then we'll freestyle it for like another half. We'll go for like another half hour, and then we'll end it. But with the last fight on the card, now this is an interesting fight to me. You had Calmin Agyarko, 54-pounder. The Black Irishman. He's trying to become the first Black Irish world champion in history. Apparently, there's never been. Hey, that guy right there is Irish. Yeah, this guy right here is Irish. Yep. He look Irish to you?
No, he looks mixed.
What if I said this guy's Puerto Rican? Would you believe it?
Yeah. I'm just saying like that's not for me to judge it, but he probably mixed or whatever the case.
Yeah, I think he's like Irish. I think maybe one of his parents is from like Congo or Ghana or something like that.
Yeah. Is he good?
He's cool. I mean, like, look, as far as this fight, he fought a guy who I got a lot of respect for in Trojan Troy Williamson.
Yeah.
Troy Williamson is one of the true warriors of British boxing. Troy, I gave Troy a lot of shit 3 years ago because I thought Harry Scarf beat him. But after that, he moved on and he fought some good. He had a classic war.
Yeah. When
he fought for the British title against Ted Cheeseman, one of the best fights for any British title I ever seen in my life. Beat him. Came up a little short against Josh Kelly. But nonetheless, a good fighter. Someone that if you're out in the 54 division, you got to deal with the Trojan, right? And in watching the fight, I seen a lot of people say that the fight was controversial, so I watched it myself and. I don't think it was a controversial fight. I thought Agyarko won the fight. I thought it was close.
Yeah.
He won by the decision. I thought the 98-92 scorecard from one of the judges was ridiculous because I don't think it was that kind of a fight. But nonetheless, Agyarko, he's an intriguing fighter. This is a guy that, my first introduction to him was when he was scheduled to fight a good friend of mine, Pistol Pete Dobson, last year for the same WBA international title. He just won against Williamson.
Oh, wow.
And he pulled out the fight.
He pulled out?
Agyarko pulled out the fight. That was that fight last year. Remember I told you at the gym? And
yeah.
So, I want to see that fight. But as far as this fight, I thought, he showed good boxing ability. He was athletic. He could counterpunch. Obviously, got Troy Williams respect. Troy is good, but Troy's problem in this fight is even though he's a taller fighter, the bigger fighter, he would throw this overhand right, which wasn't landing. The sweeping overhand right that wasn't landing. And he was falling right in. Okay. And
it cost him?
A lot of times either Agyarko will either tie him up or Agyarko will counter him. So, I just think technically Troy wasn't up to par. It's okay. I saw that all the respect in the world for the Trojan, and he can come back better. And I want to watch him fight again because he's always in really good fights. Yeah. So, as far as Agyarko, listen, he's 14-0, 7 KOs. He's an interesting place. I mean, I think the Williamson fight was his first, in my opinion, like real proper test, and he barely won that fight. When we look at Agyarko now, right now as it stands, he's number 17 on BoxRec. I don't think he's ranked anywhere yet in the rankings. Yeah, he probably will be soon.
Okay.
Couple of interesting names ranked in and around him now. I can't believe this guy's still boxing, but Dennis Hogan is there at 15.
Shit, he's still there?
Dennis Hogan, shout out to Dennis Hogan. Should have been champion. Yeah. Always give him respect. He beat Munguia.
Yeah.
But you got him at 15 now. I'll tell you guys this: the fight I think that Jocko will wind up taking at some point really soon is I think he's going to fight the winner of Josh Kelly and who's 14 on Box Strike, and Warwick Knapp from South Africa who's number 12 on Box Strike. They're fighting next week.
Josh Kelly's improved.
And I think Jocko versus Kelly in the UK or Ireland would do a big number.
Kelly's come around.
But I'll tell you this, and I want to get out in front of this. I'm going to put this video out way before Jocko even makes his next move, so that way it's documented. Jocko pulled up a Pete Dobson fight. All right, I still think he should fight Pete Dobson because, in my opinion, he ducked Pete Dobson.
Right.
So I would like to see that fight. But I'm going to say it like this: Jocko pulled out the Pete Dobson fight. Patrick McCormick pulled out the Pete Dobson fight. I'm going to say this: I better not see Kyle Jocko fight Patrick McCormick. I better not see the two guys that pulled out of Pete Dobson fights fighting each other next. I'm going to have a lot to say. And I will leave it at that. That's all I will say about that fight.
Active though? No, right?
Pete hasn't fought since last June, and he was doing that Team Combat League shit. So nonetheless, he better get it right. But nonetheless, look, good win for Jocko. He should be pushing upwards, and that's all I got to say about him. Good fighter, good fight, and yeah, I don't think it was controversial. I thought he won. I'm not gonna lie to you, I want to be biased. I like Troy Williamson more than I like Jocko, but I thought Jocko did a good job counterpunching him and doing his thing. And look, I think Eddie Hearn, his move, and I already know what Eddie's gonna try to do. Eddie Hearn will try to get him to fight the winner of Josh Kelly versus Warwick Knapp. Especially if it's Warwick Knapp, then probably not. But if Josh Kelly wins that fight, mark my words, you're gonna hear Eddie Hearn saying, Josh Kelly versus Jocko is a massive fight. He's gonna gas that up, and they could put it in Sunderland or they could put it in Belfast, and it'll sell tickets because Jocko draws already a crowd.
He's got his own following.
Got a following there already in Ireland.
In Ireland, they probably love him too. Like the Katie Taylor and all that.
Just like just like Mick Collin and Katie Taylor. So that's what it is there. But look, guys, listen. We're an hour and a half in.
When's the Sunday I was fighting?
29 for the next 29 minutes. Y'all can ask whatever y'all want, and y'all got my undivided attention.
When's the Sunday I was fighting?
That's next week as well. Next 12 days, the 16th.
Oh, after this program is the next one?
The following Saturday.
Okay.
Yeah, so listen, anything goes. For 30 minutes, anything goes. Y'all can ask whatever you want. Super chat, all that good stuff. I'll be here to answer any and all questions.
I'm gonna lay down tired.
All right, so Pop's gonna check out. He's tired. It's 11:16. You got any final?
Thank you all for supporting our True School Sports. Thank you guys for being here. Really appreciate you all. And I'll see you the next time around. I'm tired.
Maybe tomorrow. I'm planning on going live tomorrow to preview the Devin Haney card.
Oh,
so look, Pops will be back tomorrow to preview the Devin Haney Regis Prograis card. I know he's gonna have a lot to say about Prograis and Haney, and we'll preview that card. We'll preview the Robeisy Ramirez card and everything else in boxing. So
thank you all. See you tomorrow. I gotta sleep.
All right, so let's see. Next Gen T wants to know if you become a boxing manager, will you manage influencers? No, I don't have any interest in managing influencers. I feel like influencers got enough people around them. They don't need me. I got a heart. I know a lot of fighters. I got a heart for fighters. I'll tell you guys a story. About that. So, like 4 years ago, there was a fighter that I knew. I'll tell you his name actually. Vic Tony. Shout out to my guy Vic Tony, the 54-pounder. He just got a good upset victory on the Gilberto Ramirez undercard against an undefeated guy named Jahai Brown. Good counterpunch. He fought Troy Isley, gave him a good fight, fought Sebastian Maduro early in his career. Really good fighter, right? I knew Vic because I used to see him in Vegas at certain gyms when he was sparring. And Vic, he actually approached me in 2019, and he actually wanted me to manage him in 2019. And I just told Vic, I said, Vic, man, I like to, it sounds great, but I just don't feel like I know enough about the boxing business right now to get into that. And that was 4 years ago. Now 4 years have passed, and I feel like I've learned a lot more in that time, and I definitely have a better grasp of what's going on in the business of boxing. I really understand the bureaucracy and the politics of this shit, like to a T, to a science. That's why I can tell you guys what fights are going to happen before they happen. So for me to be a boxing manager, it has to first and foremost, I'm not going to have I don't want to have a whole lot of fighters, maybe only like one or two at the most. And it's got to be people I really care about, that I have like I care about them outside of boxing. Because if it's just like a regular fight, I won't want to do it. So yeah, there's a couple fighters, you know, that I know. There's one fighter in particular who I on Saturday night I actually helped. I helped him get a fight on accident. I wasn't even trying to get him a fight. I introduced him to somebody, and they wound up being a fight. So you guys probably hear about that later on down the line. But yeah, crazy stuff. So yeah, that's something that I've been avoiding for years because I've been kind of scared to get into it. But now I'm kind of embracing it. I feel like there's a lot of value I could add to the sport because I've been around it for a number of years now, and I feel like for me, apart from making this world-class content, it would be a great new challenge in boxing. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with that. You know, Daniel, what's good? He said the best to ever do it. BT, let's go. What's good, Daniel? Good to see you, champ. Hope all is well. You know, God bless the fine folks at Pro Box. You know, Chris Glover, Daniel Rubin. I gotta always shout out Pro Box, man, because they always giving us good fights and they're giving us for free for the people. Streaming here on YouTube. I mean, what more could you ask for? So shout out to Daniel. Shout out to you, Daniel, and I hope all is well. What chance do you give Regis to beat Devin Haney? I give him a chance. I mean, I think it all depends. I think Devin's the better fighter. I just think Devin's definitely got better feet, so he can control the fight with his feet. But my thing is going to be, you know, if they exchange, how does Devin handle getting touched by Regis, especially if it's by left hand? Devin's going to have to take away the left-hander Regis, so we'll see how that goes. But I give Regis a chance. I say it's like a 60-40 fight, 65-35, 60-40 fight in favor of Devin, but it's a good fight, good world title fight. Apollo said that would be awesome if you were a boxer. Yeah, no, it's something that I've been running away from for years now because I'm just like, I used to be scared of the boxing business, but then I realized like there's nothing to really be scared of when you got God on your side, when you got the Lord. So, yeah, I don't want to have a whole ton of fighters, maybe one or two. I'm not a rich man. I know like part of being a boxing manager is like you got to have money and stuff. I don't really have like a lot of money like that. I mean, I'm all right. I do okay for myself, but it's not always so much the money. I just know, I know a lot of people in boxing. I know a lot of people worldwide in boxing, so I can connect a lot of dots. So that's why I feel like I could be helpful to fighters, you know, and stay tuned. We'll see how it goes. Tim Man says Santiago gonna get knocked out by Junto. Can't wait for the February card in Japan. Which card is that? Is that the who's the headlining? Is that the Kenshiro card? Because I've been hearing that Kenshiro's gonna fight Carlos Canizales, WBA mandatory fight. Is it that card or is that another card? When you say are you talking about Santiago who fought Donaire? That Santiago? That'd be a good fight. You have so much knowledge, wisdom to give a young boxer. You'd be a great, yeah, man. I was funny. I was at this gym. There's this gym around the corner from my house, and I was talking to this one kid who's like 12. He's like a 12-year-old kid, little Asian kid. Like he's like the only Japanese kid in South Florida who boxes like that I've ever seen. And I was talking to him, and he was actually asking me questions about YouTube. And he was like, you know, did you always want to be a content creator? Did you always want to make YouTube videos? So I told him my story and whatnot, and then I told the kid about, you know, this kind of new dream that I'm having of maybe dipping my toe in trying to be a boxing manager. And I was like, and he said, the kid literally told me, he said, maybe one day I'll be my boxing manager. And I said, that would be an honor. I got to get some things right before that happens. But yeah, man. And then the next day, I went to the Don King card. I was talking to someone I know in boxing, and I introduced him to a friend of mine who's a fighter here in South Florida. And I didn't try to get my friend to fight, but I think I may have gotten my friend to fight on accident. So I'm already kind of moving like a manager before I'm even a manager. So ain't that some shit? But you know anything about the Jukenbaev guy fighting next on Pro Box? Yeah, big fan of him. Jukenbaev, southpaw. He's from Kazakhstan. He gave Subriyan Matias a really good fight. I know he's fought on Pro. I think he fought on Pro Box once already. So good fighter. You know, probably in my humble opinion, apart from Petros Anian, probably giving Subriyan Matias one of his toughest fights to date. Got a lot of respect for Jukenbaev. Really tough fighter. You see, David says, what do you say? He said, I cashed out of a $500 bet. I met a Haney beating Prograis and lost $40. I think Prograis might beat him. The closer the fight gets, I hope he does. shit, man. Listen, I like Regis Prograis. I feel like Prograis always been in good fights. Prograis always comes to fight. He just hasn't been able to get the big fights in a timely manner in his career, so it is what it is. But what is there to hate about Regis Prograis? I mean, I can't really pick out too many things to hate about Regis Prograis. So, yeah, I hope he beats Devin too. I just don't think it's gonna happen. Harold says, "I'm telling you, 140 is a stepping stone. I can't wait for Devin Haney and Al Heyman. You know that's destined to happen." Harold, take Al Heyman's pubic hairs out your mouth, man. For 5 seconds, you keep dick riding PBC every comment. But to address your comment, Harold, direct. Look, Devin and his dad, Bill, especially Bill, is smart. Bill hasn't allowed Devin to sign, one of these ridiculous exclusive network deals like Jaron Ennis has. Jaron Ennis signed that crazy deal with Showtime, and he can't really do anything, right? And he can't do a whole lot. That's why he's got to wait for Showtime and Espinoza, and he wants to be loyal to Espinoza. So I like the fact that Devin has fought on Showtime, ESPN, and DAZN. He's probably one of the only world championship fighters that's, of his age that has fought on all those platforms, and that's because he's not signing stupid deals out here. So, yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if he went with Al Heyman and PBC. That might be the move, MB says, you can be a superb manager as well as an advisor. Look at Luis Kubas Jr. You know as much or more than him. Don't think about it too much. Yeah, well, I'm to the point now where I'm not thinking about it. Like, there's a fighter now. Like, I don't want to say I'm his manager because I'm not his manager. He has a manager, but there's a fighter that I'm really close with where if he needs any help in anything, like if he needs sparring, if he needs to talk to certain people that I know in boxing that work for promotional companies, he already knows he can come to me for anything, and I've already helped him. I think it's not finalized yet, so when it's finalized, I'll talk about it more. But this fighter, man, I may have just got him a really big fight for his career, and it's crazy because he does have a loss on his record, and he hasn't really fought any big names, but his only loss is to the only notable name on his resume. And long story short, this fighter had a bad manager that he had to buy himself out of a contract with, and now he's trying to get his career on track. So I hope this fight that I may have gotten him on accident on Saturday, I hope it winds up happening because I feel like it's the perfect fight for him, and it's going to really change his career and his life and his pay grade, which is ultimately what I want to do for him, and it will give me great satisfaction to do it. So yeah, I'm going for it, man. I'm going for it. And that guy I'm talking about, he's a pro fighter, but there's some amateur kids I like from where I live in South Florida here in Homestead that I really like, that I want to keep my eyes on. And if the Lord wills it to happen and the kids trust me, and yeah, I'd be honored to manage, no more than 2 to 3 fighters at a time. I can never be like, I know some boxing managers got 8, 6, 7, 10, 5. That could never be me. That could never in my life be me. Because I mean, this true school shit is demanding by itself. So if I take on 2 or 3 fighters, that's going to be a lot of time plus this. So it's like 2 or 3 at the most. QC says, whatever path you choose, my dude, you will be successful. The joy, the knowledge, and expertise you being VT is respectable. Go get it. But yeah, absolutely. I think, yeah. A lot of big, listen, 2020, these first like 9 years in boxing have been crazy, but I think year number 10 or 2024, I should say, it's going to be the greatest year of my life. I really think that. I really do think that. I think 2024 is going to be my funnest, most challenging, interesting year ever, honestly. But yes, I'm going for it, bro. Do you think Odebek stops Raymond Ford or just a box? No, I think he's gonna butcher Raymond Ford. I think the fight will start off well. I think Raymond Ford boxed well early in the fight. I think Odebek. The thing about it, right? I know Raymond Ford probably thinks that he could just outbox Odebek, that he's the superior boxer, but Odebek can box his ass off too, and he's long, he's rangy, he's got big amateur pedigree. He won a he's boxed at a high level internationally, winning I think a bronze or a silver at the AIBA Youth World Championships. The only guy he lost to in the AIBA Youth World Championships was Hayato Tsutsumi, who won the gold and is already ranked at featherweight with only 3 or 4 fights, one of the best up and coming fighters from Japan right now. So, I think the fight will be an even chess match for about 2.5 to 3 rounds, and somewhere around round 4, round 5, Odebek's gas tank will take over and he'll start beating up Raymond Ford. That's what I think. I don't think Raymond Ford is going to hit him hard enough to get his respect. And I even think if it came down to boxing, Odebek is good enough to outbox him. I think he could outbox and outfight Raymond Ford. That's what I think. But that's just me. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I'm looking forward to the fight getting announced. You know, my fingers are crossed because I want to see the fight in person. I want to go to the fight. I'm a big Odebek fan. I've been banging the Odebek drum since before this Raymond Ford thing was even a thing, before he fought Thomas Ward. So, yeah, man. Hopefully it's in the States, because I've heard like Saudi Arabia and the Middle East is an option, you know. You may want to try a promotional company and perhaps be a matchmaker. I don't know if I want to be a matchmaker. I know some matchmakers. I respect the matchmakers. I don't know if I want to be a matchmaker. That's not really something I'm interested in. I really like, and I really feel like when I make these videos, you guys hear me talk about, like, if you guys ever hear me talk about boxing, like when I'm talking about like fights that could happen and fighters' next potential move, I already think about boxing like a manager, right? And my thing is, like, I'm not going to say no names because I don't want to out nobody, but like over the years, I've met and come across and come into contact with good managers, great managers, and trash managers. And the managers that are trash, that I feel like, because there's 2 types of managers I ran into in boxing. It's always one of the 2 types. It's either someone with a lot of money that doesn't know shit about boxing. And when I say they don't know shit about boxing, I don't mean like they don't know about boxing. They can know about like the sport and follow it. What I mean about that is I'm talking about the boxing industry and how things actually operate and things move, and do they understand the politics and the bureaucracy of boxing to make the right decision for the fighters they manage. That's what I mean. So it's either managers that don't know shit about the boxing industry or with money, or it's someone that knows boxing, that's involved in the sport, but they're extremely bitter and they just you know, they don't give a fuck about these fighters, and they just like, they do the whole thing where, you know, they like, I'm not gonna say his name, but I know this one manager. He has a long history of, he'll take fighters, he won't really put any money behind them for them to get the proper fights to build their career, and then he'll have these fighters fight like 10 to 13 fights straight in Colombia where there's no competition, and they just hit a guy and they fall over, and then the fighter gets thrown into like an ESPN fight and they don't have the right experience. Like that type of shit is what has kind of made me like, you know what? I feel like I could do better than that guy. So I'm going to roll the dice. We'll see how it goes. Stay tuned. I'll tell you this. There's a fighter that I know that I'm really cool with. I may have gotten him a big fight for his career. If it gets announced and it's finalized, I'll talk about it. But Hyro says, BT, what are your thoughts on the WBA adopting the bridgeweight division? I'm gassed. David can be. He said David Benavidez could be a four division champion. No, look, man. I liked the bridgeweight division when it was just the WBC. I liked it because it was just they were the only ones doing it. It felt like it was the 1920s, you know, where the champion was the champion. But now that the bridgeweight division has another sanctioning body on board, now it's kind of gay to me. I don't like it. I think it's kind of corny. I don't like it. So I'm not really that cool with it. But you know, I guess it's cool because there are a lot of fighters that are too small for heavyweight, but then too big for cruiserweight. So, you know, I guess they could fit in there, and it gives a whole crop of fighters who would never win a world title, I guess, a chance to win a world title. But I'm gonna side with my man Paco Varcasel from the WBO. Like, we already have 18 weight classes in boxing. I'm already up to my eyeballs. It's already hard enough to follow all the bureaucracy and the politics and the mandatories and all the stuff that goes on. We don't need a 19th weight class in boxing, but nonetheless, we got it. I do know today, I'll tell you guys a story. Today, I was talking to this one guy. I was talking to my boy Elliot. I forgot his last name, but this African dude named Elliot from the UK. And he's Andrew Tabiti's manager, and he was picking my brain about some fights in the bridgeweight division for Andrew Tabiti, and I was giving him my little insights and whatnot. So, you know, I did get a chance to look at some of the fighters at bridgeweight today. Like, I know like Sergey Kovalev is a guy that might try his hand at bridgeweight. I know you got Angel Tabiti. I know you got Ryan Rozicki, who's competed there before. Kevin Lorena. Hyro says Kevin Lorena is the interim champion now. There are fights, but you hardcores don't pay attention. Listen, man, come on, Hyro. You know my plate is full with this boxing, man. I can't. It's hard, but you're right. Kevin Lorena did fight recently for the interim belt, and I know he won. Kevin Lorena has obviously been a guy that fought at heavyweight and did his thing. You know, he gave Daniel Dubois a tough fight before he got stopped. But yeah, you're right. You're actually right, Hyro. That's why I like you, Hyro. Even though you be on that PBC propaganda bullshit, that's why I like you, Hyro, because you give it to me straight. You tell me the truth sometimes I need to hear. So I appreciate you. But yeah, now Bridgerweight, a lot of guys from heavyweight and a lot of guys from cruiserweight are going to be moving into that weight class. So I'm really intrigued. It has potential. I'll say this. And this would be my last comment on that. The Bridgerweight division has the potential to become one of the most stacked weight classes in boxing, because I could see some of the undersized heavyweights moving down to Bridgerweight, and I could see some of the oversized cruiserweights moving up to Bridgerweight. So you will get a lot of fights that normally you wouldn't get at Bridgerweight. And it could make for some interesting things down the road. But, at the end of the day, the way I look at it is I don't think that the WBA and the WBC are creating Bridgerweight division to because they care about fighter safety. I just think that it's a creative way to make another sanctioning fee, and they've done it. So congratulations to them. They found a way to expand their business in 2024. I get it. We all got bills to pay. All right, we all got to pay bills. We all got to pay bills. We all got to, take care of our families and our wives and kids and girlfriends. And, if you're really a wild one, some side chicks, I get all that. But I'm not the most excited about the Bridgerweight division being an expanded weight class, because if we got 2 of the 4 governing bodies on it now, it's only a matter of time. At some point, I think WBO will abide. They'll probably follow suit. The IBF will follow suit. But listen, if they don't, then more power to them. Respect to them. But that's what it is. But let's see. We got been live for an hour and 51 minutes. So we'll go for 9 more minutes, guys. When I get to 2 hours, I'll end it. So if you got any questions, thoughts, comments, concerns for these next 9 minutes, you got my undivided attention. So lay it on me. Let me know where you guys are from. What city, what state, what continent, Some program reminders for you guys while I'm sitting here. I'll be live again tomorrow night for Devin Haney, or to preview Devin Haney versus Regis, as well as Robesi versus Robesi versus Rafael Espinoza down here in South Florida. I'll also be at the Robesi Ramirez Rafael Espinoza weigh-in and press conference Thursday and Friday, so we'll have content from that. It's a busy week for your boy BT, and then kind of getting some of this boxing manager shit started a little bit. I'm going to be checking to see if that fight that I may have gotten from our friend, see if it went through, But yeah. Let me see if I missed any comments. But yeah, hope everyone's doing well. Hope everyone's doing well out there in the world. I know it's Monday. A lot of people. The holiday season's coming up. I know. I'm gonna say this while I'm sitting here, and this is just some real life shit. This ain't even no boxing. This is real life shit. I'm gonna vent to you guys for a bit. I know the holiday season is a very difficult time for a lot of people. I know a lot of people, they go through it at this time of year because, they're by themselves for the holidays. Listen, man, to anybody out there going through a tough time for the holidays, like just get through it, pray to God, keep the faith, keep fighting the good fight, because, overall, bad times don't last forever. I know, like, I'm feeling some type of way about the holiday season, because normally, one of my friends, my mentor, my boy Charlie, an older gentleman, I used to always spend the holidays with him every year for like the last, I don't know how many years, most like 5 out of the last 6 years. This is my first Christmas with my boy Charlie for a long time, so I'm a bit down about that, but it is what it is. But such is life. Life goes on. He's in a better place now. But yeah, to anybody out there going through a tough time for the holidays, just get through it and just try to stay positive and try to be productive and use it as a time to better yourself. Don't use it as a time to sit there and sulk and feel sorry for yourself, because that's the worst thing you can do in life is feel sorry for yourself. And now I'm turning into BT, the guidance counselor. We're not even talking boxing no more. But yeah, just wanted to say that. My man David said he's watching the Bengals Jags game. I don't even watch football no more. I used to be a big like NFL fan. the last like 7 years, I ain't really watched much football. But my favorite team in the NFL is the Carolina Panthers. Unfortunately, the Carolina Panthers my favorite team in the NFL. My first favorite team, and then my second favorite team is the Miami Dolphins. And the Dolphins are the best. I know the Dolphins are like one of the best teams in football right now. So South Florida, stand up! Shout out to the Dolphins, and hopefully the Carolina Panthers and that midget Bryce Young they get it together at some point, because I know he ain't really doing a whole lot right now. But yeah, enjoy the game. I know my pops, he was watching the whole Celtics Pacers in-season tournament game, the in-season tournament game. I caught a little bit of that. So that was pretty good. The one says, "Hey, bro, are you a Muslim? You say you pray, right?" No, I'm not a Muslim, and I'm a Christian. You know, I respect I respect the Muslims. I got respect for all the faiths in the world. You know, but I believe that Jesus Christ is King, and He died for my sins, and that's who I pray to, and that's I read and study my Bible when I can, and it keeps me level-headed. But yeah, I pray, but no, I'm not a Muslim. But respect to all the Muslims in the world. I got a lot of friends and people that I love in this world that are Muslims. He says, that is right. You like the Panthers and the Hornets. Yeah, but see, let me explain something to you, Next Gen. So yeah, so I grew up in South Florida, but I was born in North Carolina when I was younger. So like my dad was in the Army. I was born on the Army base when I was born on the Army base. We were in North Carolina until I was like 2. And then I moved to South Florida, and I basically lived in South Florida my entire life, right? So my favorite team in the NFL was the Panthers. My favorite team in the NBA, unfortunately, is the Hornets. But like probably these last 2 or 3 years, I've gotten really busy with boxing. So when it comes to like other sports and following my favorite teams, the only teams I really like follow consistently are the 2 teams that I love the most, which are my South Florida teams, which is the Miami Marlins and the Florida Panthers, my 2 favorite teams in the NHL and MLB. So when I'm not doing this, I'm normally watching the Panthers and the Marlins and going to games. And, you know, I've got great memories of going to games with my pops. So, yeah. But and I made a decision 3 years ago that I'm not going to let the Hornets, the Charlotte Hornets, the Carolina Panthers, or Everton affect my mood. You know, the only 2 teams I get pissed off about when they lose are the Marlins or the Florida Panthers. So it is what it is. And luckily, the Florida Panthers don't lose too much because they're like one of the best hockey teams right now. So, and they've been one of the best hockey teams for the last, couple of years. They were the best team in the regular season 2 seasons ago. They lost in the Stanley Cup final last year, and they're like one of the top 5 to 7 best teams this year so far. And I think they're a Stanley Cup contender this year as well. And I think this year they're going to win it. So, yeah. But yeah, to answer your question, yeah, I like those 2 sorry-ass teams from Charlotte. Yes. How good do you think that kid Floyd Scofield is? I think I don't know how good he'll be. I think he can win a world title under the right circumstances, but I definitely think he's going to be a draw. I think he's going to be someone that's really entertaining to watch, and I think there's a lot of value in him as a fighter. I think Golden Boy's moving in the right way. Hey, I think he'll be a champion. I think he'll be a champion. Probably like a vacant belt or something like that. You know. I'm from Indiana. Shout out to the Pacers. I like the Pacers. They're a cool team. True, I'm from around Charlotte. I never met anybody from other places that's fans of the Hornets Panthers. Were you born in North? Yes, I was born in Fayetteville. My dad was in the Army on Fort Bragg. My dad was in the Army in Fort Bragg, North Carolina. So yeah, I was born there, but I grew up in South Florida. So that's why my teams are kind of all over the place, But yeah, those are my. It's sad because when I was a kid, I really did enjoy watching the Carolina Panthers. I love the Panthers when they had like Julius Peppers and Steve Smith and Jake Delhomme and Chris Gamble and Ricky Manning Jr. and Deshaun Foster and Stephen Davis and D'Angelo Williams. And now it's just like it's whatever now. But hopefully better days are ahead. But my 2 favorite sports teams, and I never want this to get misconstrued. My 2 favorite. In fact, I'll tell you right now. I'll show you right now. Hold on, and we'll end the live on this note, right? My 2 favorite sports teams, and I had these shits right on my TV. I have these things right on my TV. Look, my 2 favorite sports teams, if you don't know, okay, there you go. The Marlins, that's the old logo, the original, the OG logo, the best logo, the best color and the best logo in sports, the OG Marlins logo. The Marlins and boom, the greatest show on ice since Disney on Ice, the Florida Panthers, right? So those are my favorite teams in sports when I'm not watching this boxing shit. So little bit about me. There was a lot of Muslims in Philly, man. I'm a Christian too. When did you receive Jesus Christ? I received Jesus Christ when I was like 7 or 8. I was super young. I was young, you know. Then when I got older, when I was like a teenager, straight away a little bit. You know, you grew up in the world. You grew up in a crazy place like South Florida with a lot of crazy people. You know, straight away from it a little bit. And then as I got older, I realized the value of, hey, you gotta trust the Lord, man. And it's the only reason why I'm still here in this boxing. I would have quit a long time ago without him. So, and Measy says, I remember when they had, yeah, man, Kerry Collins was way before my time. Kerry Collins was like I didn't become a Carolina Panthers fan until like the Jake Delhomme days. You know, Jake Delhomme, Steve Smith, Julius Peppers, them guys. You know, and I've been a fan since then. You know, I like the Dolphins too. Like, the Dolphins are cool too. Like, I like the Dolphins when they had like Ricky Williams and Jason Taylor. Like, they're my second favorite team. But yeah, those are some things about me. But look, guys, on that note, it's like what's about midnight. It's gonna be midnight here soon. So that being said, I'm gonna wrap it up. But it was good talking to you guys. You know, yeah, RIP Sam Mills. We're gonna keep pounding like Sam Mills. But yeah, I'm gonna wrap it up, guys. I'll be live again tomorrow. You know, around the same time, maybe a little earlier. So stay tuned for when I schedule it. We're gonna talk about the whole Devin Haney card, the whole Robesi card. Pop's gonna be here. It's gonna be a fun live. So join us for that. Check out all the content on the channel. There's a lot of videos that I still gotta edit. There's a lot of videos that I've already dropped. There's a bunch of shorts from the Don King card. There's a lot of interviews from the Don King card. So go check out all that stuff and all that content and keep supporting, because it's been a great year for me, man. It's been a great year for the channel. It's been a great year for boxing. And it's gonna be an even greater 2024. So on that note, guys, you take care. God bless. I'll see you tomorrow. And like I say in every single one of these videos, you can love me or you can hate me. But I'm just Kid from Daniel. So until next time, take care, guys.